What is up, everybody? Welcome back to From the Crypt, the podcast where we discuss music and movies and franchises and, you know, generally speaking, all that kind of shit and stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff in life. The only good stuff in life, as a matter of fact. And, I'm just kidding. I'm getting existential again. So, we are obviously joined again by our community favorite, Toby.
Hello.
Hello, Toby.
And,
Hello.
also our Resident Evil expert, and
You said this for the MCU, and I corrected it on on three different things. Come on.
okay, sorry, our Resident Evil experts, Derek.
Yes,
and
thank
Toby.
you. Yes, thank you.
The Resident Evil
Yeah.
expert.
The actual residents of evil, and then myself, of course. I'm just a passerby. I just vacation to the residents of evil. I just vacation to Raccoon City from time to time. I don't actually stay there for extended periods.
That sounds like a horrible vacation, all things considered.
No shit. It'd be fun and exciting.
No.
No.
It would be
fun and
death.
exciting. It would be fun and exciting until the first time you run into a liquor.
Yeah.
Liquor.
Or if you just hunker down and get nuked.
Hunker down and get nuked, dude. That's my cup of tea. It's just another day.
Shit.
Anyway, so as you can probably tell by the backsplash and the title and our amazing intro that we just did, we are going to be discussing the Resident Evil movies. And I know the backsplash only has obviously the early to mid 2000s movies, but we will also be covering the other ones as well. And then, of course, you can't really talk about Resident Evil only the movies. The games will definitely be brought up from time to time, I'm sure, just as comparisons and representations of the franchise itself, what they did, what they didn't do, what they did right, what they did wrong, all that kind of stuff. But overall, just like a general, would you call it a retrospective, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the film franchise, like a retrospective of the film franchise, but the games, yeah, like you said, they're interwoven into this, except for really the first one.
Yeah.
And then the last one, it basically is just an amalgamation of the first two games. So, we'll separate it as best we can, won't we, Toby?
We will. We should also clarify that we will not be discussing the CGI animated films.
Oh, yeah.
In the video. We're only talking about the live action stuff.
I always forget about those, actually.
Yeah, I've watched two of them, and it's not like they didn't do anything for me, but I don't know. I guess I don't know. I need to go back through and try to rewatch them.
You definitely should, because they are miles better than these movies, in my opinion.
I will say this.
Well, you're not wrong.
I'm pretty sure I have seen one of the CGI movies long time ago. I remember watching, I think my dad might have been watching it actually, and I just so happened to be in the room kind of situation. I don't think I was paying attention or knew what the hell was going on, but I do vaguely remember that because I've seen clips of it later on in life, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I've seen that. And then I seen the Resident Evil tag. I was like, oh, what the fuck? I didn't realize that was Resident Evil, But again, I've never played any of the games, just a disclaimer, personally. Toby and Derek obviously have played the games, so they're going to have a little bit more of an understanding of what is correct through the lore, even though I have a general idea. Living with Toby, you kind of don't go living with Toby for several years and not have a little bit of an understanding about the Resident Evil franchise. So
He's right,
yeah, it's just one of those things, which is great because honestly I love the story, I love the atmosphere, I love the fandom is crazy. I mean, just seeing some of the stuff that fans have come up with and made a part of this universe is wild to me. So but yeah, it's good stuff. The movies has some good stuff, some not so good stuff as well, but we'll get into it, of course. I really wanted to use, I was going to tell you guys about the backsplash. I really wanted to use I've been fucking around with camera filter or camera cropping. I don't know if you guys have seen any of my videos where I've got my circular video camera instead of the square. I was gonna have Nemesis holding our cameras, and like his fingers are like holding on to the cameras and shit, which would have been sick, but I couldn't find a good enough image of Nemesis from the movies that was like in that pose. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get this one.
That would have been cool regardless.
So yeah, Nemesis has two hands. Where would the third camera have went? Because I would have volunteered to be all up in Nemesis's junk. He could have been holding you guys up. I want the best seat in the house.
Hell yeah. That Nemesis bulge. Which I'm sure
Oh
will
my
get its
God.
own segment in this whole video.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch to one of y'all enlightened motherfuckers, because I don't know where to start.
I guess we should probably start with the very first movie,
Yeah.
Resident Evil.
Yes. Titled Resident Evil. This movie came out, when was it? March.
2002.
Well, god damn it, Toby. I was going to get specific and whatever.
Go ahead,
15th,
get specific. I bet I'm gonna get a little bit more specific.
March
Go ahead.
15th, 2002. There. Did it.
You know what's significant about that date?
That's a day. No, you would have been too young to get laid. No,
I was 4 years old.
Yeah, you weren't getting any.
No.
You were?
I found out that, just a fun little fact about this. This movie, the very first Resident Evil live-action movie, came out exactly 10 days after the release of
The GameCube remake.
the first remake.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
That's a theme, by the way. That's a theme that will carry on throughout this. These movies tend to release alongside the games,
Which is wild.
which will be important later. I will bring that up later.
Derek's racking his brain about something.
I was going to say, there's one that I know definitely for sure because it ripped off a lot of elements from the game, but the other ones I was like, what Resident Evil came out in 2004 and then 2007? Because 5 came out in 9, 4 came out in, I think it was late 05, early 06 maybe.
5.
And then, yeah. Trying to think.
Anyway,
Yeah.
first Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Stars Mila Jovovich as Alice.
Yeah, so
Get used to her. She's in 6 of the 7.
So for anybody not aware, and this is something obviously I had to learn personally because again I've never played the games, but correct me if I'm wrong. Alice is completely created from the movies, right? She's not in the games.
Yep.
100% original.
100%.
And the reason for that is she's married to the director.
Yeah, I think isn't that a theme with her? Isn't that like a thing
Yes.
that happens a lot?
Yeah, she just stars in all of Paul Anderson's bad movie adaptations. Or video game adaptations, sorry.
Capcom adaptations.
I've heard
Yes.
that. I've heard.
We're not
stories.
talking about Monster Hunter or anything.
I mean,
But,
yeah. I don't. It's not him. I don't think, of course, but fucking The Fifth Element. I know she's in that. I don't know if he directed that or not, but
don't believe so. Because like he did, was it Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, both of which are awesome too. By the way, I'm not going to say a bad thing about either one of those.
I was gonna say because if The Fifth Element was one of those movies listed, I love Fifth Element. I don't know what everyone else thinks about the movie. I've never really looked into it too much, but I personally love The Fifth Element, and it might be. Might be a nostalgia
it's
thing,
like a
but-
universally loved movie. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I remember I know it's one of my dad's favorite movies, and I remember we watched it a lot when I was growing up, and it's just such a cool movie. And then I'm pretty sure I know we're not talking about The Fifth Element, but the opera singer in The Fifth Element, I'm pretty sure she broke records or some shit, didn't she? The blue lady, I forget her name, but she broke some kind of fucking singing record or some shit making that film, which is wild, but.
I don't know for sure, but I mean, I could believe it because
It was like the highest pitched note ever recorded or something, or some crazy stuff like that. I can't remember, but
That's great.
yeah, I'll look it up later. But it's pretty cool. Anyway,
But
Resident
yeah. So this movie literally takes like nothing from the game at all. There is a mansion. They refer to a mansion. I, for the life of me, can't remember if they do actually call it the Spencer Mansion or not. I don't believe. Yeah, I didn't think they did. Um, and then yeah, there is an underground facility. So one thing I'm gonna go ahead and brace everybody for: get used to hearing Alice a lot, and then also get used to hearing ridiculous underground facility because Umbrella's got them by the dozen. It seems
they got them underground facilities covered.
And it loses its luster the more we go through the franchise, because even when I sat down for this rewatch, I was like, okay, all right, I'm on board. Underground facility. Okay. All right, a completely different, like 5 times bigger underground facility. Okay, all right. Oh, this one is 3 big, like it's just constant with the underground facilities. I wonder where the next
one's gonna be. It's probably gonna be like a giant space station or something, right? Nope.
Shit.
Underground facility.
But basically, yeah, quick plot synopsis. And if people haven't gathered, spoilers, but you should have known that already.
Yeah.
Maybe came out like almost 30 years ago.
I couldn't hear a word you said, Toby, but I think I telepathically got you.
I said this movie came out almost 30 years ago. Come on, people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You bastard. 22, whatever. But freaking no. There is. What is it? There's an outbreak at an underground facility that uses the mansion as like a place where people meet up, go down, get on a train, then go down to the real underground facility. There is an outbreak, and the AI that is in charge of it is killing everybody, and then a team is sent in to investigate, and death and chaos ensues.
Naturally.
Resident Evil.
I will say...
Yeah.
It was a bold decision of them to start the franchise off with a movie based on a video game that has almost nothing to do with any of the video games.
Yeah.
But it works really well in this case.
It does. And
it is a really good movie.
If you would have asked me that question a month ago, I would have told you, piss off. The first Resident Evil's junk. No, during this rewatch, yeah, my opinion of it has changed a lot. It's got zombies in it and a mansion. That's all of the tie-ins to the video games. There is no Jill Valentine or Chris Redfield. No Wesker, no nothing. And I really dig this movie. Especially the opening sequence when the Red Queen, which is the AI, is like, oh, there's an outbreak. Everybody's got to die now. Because, I mean, come on. The chick in the elevator, that's just awesome. Like, that was just an awesome death scene. Like, oh, she's not going to die. Okay, no, just kidding. She's fucked.
Dude, elevator death scenes are always crazy.
Decapitated.
Elevator death scenes are wild.
Hell yeah, they are.
I've never seen an elevator death scene that I didn't like.
Facts.
That's true.
That's facts.
Especially when it's orchestrated by a rogue AI.
Also
man.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to get out of this. A lot of my thoughts that I have, they're splintered throughout the rest of the movie. So, like with the Red Queen, I am going to talk more in depth about Red Queen later. Because one thing I fucking hate in movies that I hope everybody else does is inconsistencies. Like with the backstory and everything like that. And the fact that the Red Queen literally changes from the first movie, the 5th movie, and the 6th movie kind of pisses me off. Because when I watch it, I want it to be the same. Do you guys feel the same about that?
Yeah, it's super irritating.
Yeah, if anything, it can pull you out of it because you're like, wait, that ain't her. What the fuck? And yeah, but like I said, I'll address that more later on. So our team arrives, and Alice was in the shower. She doesn't know who she is. She don't know shit from fuck at this point in time. She's trying to piece it together. And well, I mean, all I'm saying is if like helicopters are coming in, people are breaking into my house, and they're grabbing me, asking me what the hell's going on, and I'm like, who the fuck are you, dude?
Yeah.
I would be absolutely fucking terrified. But it turns out she worked for Umbrella, and they they know her somehow. I don't think they ever went like super in depth like with their relationship that she had with the team. Correct,
I
Toby?
don't think so. I think it's kind of a weird thing because like they bust in and the one dude grabs her and is like, "Report!"
Report.
Like he's talking to her like there's some kind of like colleagues, and then later on it's like they don't really address that at all. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird. I
yeah,
actually completely forgot about that until you brought it up.
yeah. So, well, I mean, they expected like they wanted you to sit down and be like, okay, we know jack shit. We know what's coming just because we're the audience, but man, who is she? Why does she have ties to these people? How badass is this chick? All these, well, most of these questions get answered throughout the course of the movie, but then they go down into the secret entrance. They went to get on the tram, and then they found another dude who Alice recognized from the pictures. He was with her. They were a fake married couple or whatever. Then they take this train, and then they go to the hive. And one of the first sequences that happens is the laser grid. After they get set up and they're trying to go shut the AI down and figure out what happened, the laser grid sequence. Like, should I feel weird that I'm calling that groundbreaking? Because I mean, that scene is awesome. Still, like, even when I didn't have very high thoughts on this movie, that sequence was still awesome. Like
I
with the
mean, it speaks volumes that that scene is, I think, the only aspect of the first movie that actually ended up making it into a game afterwards.
yeah,
You're
because it was
talking about the hallway with the lasers that cut the dude into cheddar, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that
like
was a
that.
completely original thing for the movie, and it ended up making it into Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of every time I see it is the scene from Ghost Ship.
The
Oh
Wire.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what scene?
One of the like the only scene
Yeah,
from
the
Ghost
scene.
Ship.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just watch that sequence. Play Not Falling by Mudvayne in the background.
Dude,
Movie over.
I was gonna say at least we got banger music going through a whole theme here because we got My Plague with this Resident Evil movie plays in the
Hmm.
credits, and then Ghost Ship has fucking Mudvayne playing. Like, come on, dude, it's good stuff.
Oh hell yeah. But that laser sequence, and I mean, it's been just like Alice and the underground sequence, or underground base, or whatever. That has been referenced again throughout the movies because that is how badass that fucking scene is. It is awesome.
It's a very cool scene. I'm pretty sure it was just also very iconic for the time and where CGI and stuff was at the time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have that sentiment, regardless of how bad the movie did or how not so fondly the movie is looked after. And I think it's also one of those things, kind of like the Halloween 3, where everybody was like joshing on it at first, and then now it's kind of like this really cool thing. I think the same thing could be said about the first Resident Evil movie. I think a lot of people probably fucking hated it, probably still do, to be honest. But looking back at it now, it's actually kind of cool movie and shit. I would personally agree with that. I thought it was a pretty fun movie.
I
As
think
far
the
as Resident Evil
general
movies go.
consensus I think the general consensus amongst Resident Evil fans is the first movie is the best one. The first and second movies are typically thought of as the best movies in the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I've seen similar takes. Yeah.
The only thing I like, and to your point, Jacob, now I went into this because by the time the movie, like when it came out in theaters, I didn't watch it. I was playing the GameCube remake though at that time, like nonstop. And so by the time I sat down to finally watch the movie, and I had played, I believe it was the first three games, the remake on GameCube, then two and three on PlayStation. I was like, I was, where's any of the characters? Like, that's what put me off at first when I watched this movie. I was like, there is no characters from the game. Why is this titled after the game if the only similarity is that there is zombies in a fucking mansion? So once you get over that and it's like just take it as its own thing, it is very, very good.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
something that I think can be said about just this genre of movie entirely is it's got very nostalgic feel as far as like those cheesy like fucking I don't know Underworld, for example. Underworld and Blade and stuff, they have that like really action heavy like tone to them, and the very extended dramatized like scenes and shit that kind of drag out a little bit. I think that's just kind of a weird nostalgic thing for a lot of people, and when they look back at this movie, that's kind of what they feel. You know what I mean? Same with Underworld for me. Like if you look at it from like a movie perspective, it just as the scope of the movie itself, like technically is probably not a great movie, but I know I fucking love Underworld, and I know a lot of other people that love Underworld, but it's just like I don't know, just it has a really cool feeling to it. It just feels like that early 2000s like cheesy ass action horror kind of stuff, and
That's 100% what it is.
and also
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
going back to what you said about the characters and not relating to the games, I could say the same as somebody that hasn't played the games but have seen the movies. You know, like if I played the games now, well, obviously without strip all my knowledge of Resident Evil, if I watch the movie first and then I go play the game, I'd say the same thing. Where the fuck is Alice? What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so just back and forth. It was just a convoluted mess of a situation, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think if they would have like put more from the games into the movies, it may actually have hurt it. And I know that's controversial, but trust me, I will talk about that later with other movies.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going.
So if you had said that to me before I rewatched these movies, I would have disagreed with you, because the one thing that I want more than anything in this world, fuck world peace, fuck ending world hunger, cancer, all that shit. I just want a good fucking Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
I want a Resident Evil movie that takes the characters from the games and adapts them well and does it in a context that makes sense. But if you had told me that a few months ago, I would have disagreed with you. After rewatching these movies, I wholeheartedly agreed with you. I will touch on that later as well.
Dude, yeah, like literally everything you said, 100% agreed. And yeah, like after watching it, my opinions have changed. And
because
good.
I feel like the strength of the Resident Evil series lies within its characters. Leon, Ada, Chris, Jill, Wesker. They're all just really good, rich characters.
Sheva,
even, literally even the side characters, Sheva, fucking Ashley, or even the newer ones like Ethan, they're all really good characters and they have really good story arcs and shit. And honestly, I don't think any of them were adapted very well in any of these movies.
If they were, we're not saying Ethan Winters was in a movie or not, because he wasn't. But yeah, some of them were okay. But yes, the majority of them not good adaptations at all. We will discuss when we're actually talking about movies in the series that have characters based. Yeah. Because, like we've already said, this is basically just completely original, and it worked. I'll run through.
It's got the Umbrella logo.
Yeah,
I guess where I was going with that was, even though Alice is a completely original character for this movie, I actually like her. I like Alice as a character.
I do in the first two, and then from there on out, I have a lot of issues. Some of the issues aren't like, it's not with Mila Jovovich's like acting or anything like that. Like, she's a great actress, but just the elements, like there's some dumb shit coming up. But like just taking the first one, she's just a regular chick. Like, and in this movie, I think this is the only time in the whole franchise that Alice is in. Where yeah, she's just a badass chick that's normal. Keywords normal.
Yeah.
Because it gets out of fucking control later on.
I don't. I gotta say it. I don't like her at all.
No, that's fair.
I didn't mind her in the first movie at all. But I will say that the more this series progresses, the more I hated her. And it was not a very high bar at first anyway. In my opinion, I mean, she's not my favorite. She's not my favorite.
No, I get that completely.
But
I mean,
I don't want to milk the first movie so much because I know we got a bunch more movies to talk about. But I do want to kind of get away from some of this stuff that's going to be brought back a lot.
Yeah.
Just like now, that way we just have it out of the way. We could just reference it later. But what was the most current game that came out in the series when this movie released?
GameCube remake.
It would have been GameCube remake by 10 days, but before that, it was Code Veronica.
So how many games in the series? I mean, like in the story, how many games in the story of Resident Evil would have been out by the time this movie came out?
There was.
It's the mainline story, not including all of the spin-offs and shit. There would have been 4 games.
Okay.
Yes.
So Resident Evil 1 through 4, then, right?
1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica.
Okay, so
yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is not out yet.
No, Resident Evil 4 didn't come out until 2005. Okay. And that's also not counting Survivor, Survivor 2, Code Veronica, or Gaiden for the Game Boy. What else was there? There was another one that popped in there. Dead Aim. Maybe that came out in 2003. This is just 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica.
So the only reason I even brought that up was the going back to Toby's discussion of the game adaptation of the movie itself. I know this is like a thing that the Warcraft movie, for example, struggled with initially because they wanted to start at the beginning, right? They wanted to start at the beginning of the World of Warcraft universe, right? But where is that? You know, like there's so much stuff in the Warcraft universe, but if you strip all that away, technically the first game would have been Orcs versus Humans, you know, and there's not really a whole lot of story with that. So they took that game and just built upon it, and then they added some of the canonical things into it to create a movie that has stuff from the Warcraft games in the movie, but still at the beginning, the Orcs versus Humans, even though, again, very loosely, of course, but my point was when they were coming out with, and I don't know how much story from the first game could have been adapted into a movie if you were to just do a Resident Evil 1 game movie. I don't know if there was enough story in that game because I haven't played it, but I feel like even if they would have done a game adaptation with 1 and 2 as one movie, the first movie, you know, and then after that I'm sure the story got a little bit more, you know, complex, and you could have added more to it and so forth. And especially when you get to Resident Evil 4, because I know how much everybody loved Resident Evil 4. It's still one of like the biggest games on the planet, and it always will be.
Hell yeah.
But like I don't know if they could have done that. Like I said, I have not played the games. You guys could attest to that or not, but I feel like a lot of that struggle with early games, especially with the story, you kind of have to, like, you have this thing, it's really good, people love it, but will it be a good movie in its own right? Maybe. But you still probably going to have to add some shit. And even if they were to add an Alice character to fill in some of those story beats or whatever, sure. But I don't know. It's like it's a give or take, especially with earlier adaptations, because it's also the market. You know, what's the market for this? Like the Lord of the Rings, for example, came out at a perfect time. If the Lord of the Rings had come out a couple years after that, it probably wouldn't have been as big and crazy successful as it is now. It came out at literally the perfect time when fantasy was a struggling genre and nobody was making anything that anyone gave a fuck about fantasy. Every fantasy movie that came out was just like, oh yeah, that was good, throw it away. But then the Lord of the Rings comes out and it's like people still talk about that shit today. People get tattoos of that shit. People fucking live, breathe, and fuck Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean? They get fucking Lord of the Rings weddings. So again, it could have just been a product of the time. A lot of the time period that was coming out with movies, there was those big action-packed, cheesy fucking movies like I was talking about were coming out around that time, so that's what people were wanting. But then you have the whole game side of things, and people that played the games are probably like, what?
Oh yeah.
The fuck is
Definitely.
this?
I think the opposite effect of what you were talking about with Lord of the Rings happened with this movie. Because, like you said, Lord of the Rings came out at the perfect time where fantasy just wasn't really there. This movie came out at a time where, like, the zombie craze was just kicking off.
Yeah.
Like, zombies were blowing up in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, what was it? I think it was a year or two after the first Resident Evil. I mean, we got Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which was a fucking amazing remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
But touching on what you said about them making a movie about the first two games, we'll get into that when we talk about Welcome to Raccoon City, because that's literally what they did. Poorly,
Yeah.
but, you know,
Yeah.
what they tried to do. But I think there's more than enough content in the first game to fill out a whole 2 hour long movie. In fact, quick shout out to, I think it's the Residents of Evil YouTube channel. It might be Biohazard Declassified. There's a fan film being made.
Ooh.
It's called
okay.
it's called The Keeper's Diary.
Oh yeah.
It is a whole short film that is starring the actor that played Chris Redfield in the first game's intro cutscene, like the live action thing from the first game. He's coming back, but he's playing the Keeper from The Keeper's Diary. This is a whole fan film being made based on the story of a fucking document that you find in the first game.
Yeah.
You can completely miss this. You can play through the whole game and completely miss this story. And they're making a whole short film of it.
And just think of the other stuff from the games. Like, I agree with you, and I'll even go as far to say, I think that video game adaptations into movies do not work, and that it should be a series. Like, imagine a fully fleshed out Resident Evil series based off of the first game. Now imagine, like, put it in the context of like Last of Us, and then you can explore everything. You can build off of the stuff that's already there. There's so much there. It's just so deep. It's a deep well to be drilling into, and they should be series, not movies. I agree. That was the point.
I agree for the most part when it comes to heavy lore focused stories like World of Warcraft, for example. I love the Warcraft movie, but I do 100% agree that there is too much Warcraft to be put into one movie. And as much as I love the movie, I think it definitely missed the bill as far as what it could have been if it was a show. And I still think they're going to do a show at some point or another, but I agree with you. But like The Witcher, for example, tons of lore in The Witcher. And the show was phenomenal. At least what I've seen of it. And what I've seen, I'm pretty sure everything that's out right now. I loved it. I thought it was great. But yeah, no, I agree. Heavy lore heavy games like Resident Evil and The Witcher, and I know The Last of Us only had two games, but dude, there's so much in it. Like it almost does a disservice to it to only make a movie.
Yeah.
Granted, I think a Last of Us movie probably would have been fine. I think that would have been okay.
I still don't think so, because we've gotten however many of these video game adaptations, Resident Evils, Mortal Kombat, Monster Hunter. That's just Paul Anderson. We're not even talking like Mario and Sonic. Most of them are not good. Some of them are very good. I still just a series. That's what I want. I want a full in-depth effing series, and to really flesh everything out, because you cannot combine games into making one movie. That is way too much content for one. Like, now if they combine, Well, you can't even really combine the first two movies into a series. You gotta have three in there, even if it's just one episode. Like, oh, meanwhile, this is what was going on in Jill's life. Um,
Yeah. No,
so a
I
movie
agree. I
just
agree.
it's just not enough time to tell the story, and then you end up just feeling unfulfilled from everything.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. That's fair. You know what?
But
I didn't even take into account like playtime as opposed to runtime for a movie. I guess is drastically different.
yeah,
So that's fair. That's fair.
because I mean, yeah, you could speed run it in like an hour or under 2 hours. I know that, but you don't get the full experience.
Yeah.
You're just not even sightseeing at that point. Um, so next in the story, they shut the Red Queen down, which then unlocks everything, all the zombies. So then the team's surprised. They get ambushed. Basically, all of them die like throughout the course of the movie. Um, and then they fight the liquor on the train, which was awesome. But at the same time, the CG in that scene is atrocious. It does not look good.
Hey,
Like when the
hey, hey,
liquor's
hey, hey.
when the
It's
liquor's being drugged. No.
It's just as good as the final boss in the most recent movie.
Okay. Yeah, you got me. But
And they're only almost 20 years apart.
Yeah, yeah. The most recent came out what 2 years ago.
2021, I believe.
Yeah, 3
yeah,
years ago.
21.
Oh man.
But so then after they defeat the liquor, Jill and Matt or Alice. Why did I?
Alice and Matt.
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Also, I could be wrong here. I don't actually remember, but I'm pretty sure the very end of this movie where they're getting separated by the scientists is the only time she mentions his name in the entire movie. Does he ever say his name before that?
That's a good
Because
question.
I don't think he does. I'm pretty sure they're like, it almost feels like there was a scene cut out where they were talking to him because
Yeah, I could definitely tell you she says his name a hell of a lot more in the second movie than she does in the first movie.
well, like he's getting pulled away and she's screaming Matt, Matt. But I was like, oh, his name's Matt. When I was watching that, I was like, this guy didn't have a name. I don't think this guy had a name before that scene.
But the one thing that was awesome from that scene is I won him in the Nemesis program. I was like, even like the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, now we're getting it. Okay, all right, now we're getting on track. And then when the movie ends with her walking out of the hospital and everything is just destroyed, chaos, newspapers, which why would a newspaper would the newspaper even have time to like, oh shit, zombie apocalypse is on us. Let's get this story. I need it in the presser right now. Let's go.
It was J. Jonah Jameson. It's like, I gotta print the front page.
Yeah. Like
Spider-Man.
because yeah, you figure more shit would be more important than that, but hey, it was. I mean, the dead walk, like that was an awesome thing, even though it might have been. I thought it was a little bit ridiculous.
The people in the newspaper, the people in the printing press were just like they're the last people to survive before things got shit on.
Apparently so.
They just released this paper as their final statement to the world, I guess.
Just that whole sequence, like just the atmosphere and her just like, okay, you know what? I just got one shotgun. I'm taking on, and then the music hits, and then the camera starts pulling back. It was a great ending for that movie. It like no bullshit, no nothing. It was awesome. Like even though I was dissatisfied with the movie when I watched it the first time, that ending had me super pumped for the sequel. So it did its job.
I actually made a note about this particular scene.
Okay.
I know it's technically before the credits roll, but I wrote this is the perfect example of what a post-credit scene should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he's like, I want him in the Nemesis program, it teases a character that the fans are like, oh shit, Nemesis is here. And then when she walks out and she's like walking through the streets, You can see abandoned cop cars with the Stars logo on the door and shit. And then she grabs the shotgun and, like you said, it just pans out. Perfect.
Perfect.
Like,
yeah, it literally was.
If you went into this movie as a fan of the games and you were dissatisfied because it wasn't based on the games, that scene probably got you real fucking pumped.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, if somebody were to tell me, like, oh yeah, no, that did nothing for me, I'd be like, man, you're high as an effing kite then. I don't know what you want from me. Because that ending, not just the Resident Evil series, that was just a great fucking ending. Just knowing, what was transpiring in the movie, what we know is happening in the games, and then the way it just was like, here you go, we're ready for the sequel. You're goddamn right, we are too. Because it was just a perfect ending. Perfect ending.
Yeah, I like the ending quite a bit.
A couple things I want to talk about real quick, just before we put a pin in Resident Evil 1. This movie was made for $33 million, and then it ended up bringing in worldwide total of $103.8 million, with 40 of that coming just from the U.S. alone. Now, why I bring that up is because some of these numbers later will baffle you, but man, these fucking movies are stupid popular overseas because they never did jack shit in the US. So, like, I did not understand. I was like, how do these movies keep getting sequels? Even just looking at the numbers, I was like, they're not even grossing more than the production budget. But no, it's all the overseas money. And we will talk about that more with each movie going forward.
Interesting.
So, I mean, Resident Evil is a Japanese franchise, so that checks out.
Do either one of you have any closing notes or remarks on the first Resident Evil? Because I'll just say it aged very well, very, very well. I feel
this movie was the jumping on point for my love and admiration for Michelle Rodriguez.
That's fair.
You thought I was going to say Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I would hope not.
I did. And then you came out of left field, and I was like, man, I was there 2 years before you. Piss off.
No, I was sitting there thinking, I know this boy's not about to say Resident Evil. There's no way.
Jacob, what closing thoughts on Resident Evil?
Nope. I think I've said everything I need to say.
All right. Well, let's move right into Apocalypse. Right. This movie, September 10th, 2004. Like I said just a few minutes ago, the ending of the first one had me excited because I knew exactly where the second movie was going. Basically, rich white scientists, we need to reopen the hive. I want to know what's going on down there. And just like any dumb white guy in a horror movie, they unleash a zombie apocalypse on the entire world.
Naturally.
Nothing big or anything, So this movie follows Alice and a few new characters that are introduced, and Jill Valentine and Carlos Oliveira from the games, and Nikolai, but Nikolai, dies pretty quick in this movie. It follows, Alice and a new group of people trying to get out of Raccoon City before it is nuked and the contagion is spread, or it can't spread anymore. I remember seeing this movie and I was so fucking pumped for it. It came out I think I was a sophomore in high school, and I hadn't, or maybe as a junior. And I hadn't turned 17 yet, so I remember just sweating bullets. Like, they better not fucking card me for this movie, because I didn't drive an hour to get here and then sit in the fucking car the whole time, considering they didn't card any of my friends. But yeah, I had a fun time with it when I first saw it. And if I would have done a ranking a month ago, this would have been number one. But I watched it. One thing that bothers me with the movie is like when they're showing the horde of zombies moving around. Like, for instance, when that chick is running up the flight of stairs when Carlos and Nikolai are getting ready to drop in and stuff. I do not like how they like the camera work that's with the zombies, because it's like out of focus and you just see a bunch of shuffling and I don't like that. It just felt cheap to me.
Overrated.
I hated. I fucking hated that too.
Okay.
Same.
All right.
Same. It's nauseating in some parts. I was just like, oh man, yeah, I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. And man, I said the first Resident Evil aged very well. This one did not. No. Like I still love it because it has Jill, of course, looking very Resident Evil 3. And then Nemesis, of course, which Nemesis looked fucking awesome in this movie. Did he not?
I like Nemesis.
He looks great.
Yeah.
And it's all practical effects.
Oh,
yeah, which is
always
a
big thumbs up
plus.
for me.
Sure. But where this one kind of started to lose me, and you'll further lose me the more this franchise goes on, Project Alice. So at the end of the first movie, they infected her with the T-virus, and the T-virus bonded with her in a way that has never been seen by when it's been in anybody else. And so now she has fucking superpowers.
Yeah. One of my notes. One of my notes is literally WTF is Alice.
Yeah.
That's all I put. I couldn't remember why I put that until you just said that. I was like, yep, that's what it was. What the fuck is Alice?
Yeah. Like, she's a fucking superhero, basically.
Yeah, too much.
Who can run down the side of skyscrapers and shit.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, that is like fun action movie stuff. Like, yeah, if you're not... Like, if you were trying to market this to my dad back in the day, he would have fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And, hold on a second. My charger is apparently not hooked up to my laptop.
Oh, no.
Yep, don't need that happening.
Rip. Yeah, I think that some of my favorite one-liners and one of my least favorite lines in the whole entire franchise is in this movie.
Which one was it?
One of my favorite one-liners, and I forget the dude's name because I can't remember any of their half of their names, but I'm pretty sure, and I wrote this down while I was watching it, so I may have minorly misheard, but I'm pretty sure the gangster dude that's driving the car, I forget.
GTA motherfucker.
Yeah, GTA motherfucker. GTA motherfucker. Yeah, 10 points. I was like, dude.
So
they cleared this line for this movie.
Derek was geeking out about this movie has Alice and Nemesis and Carlos. He left out the best character in this movie, LJ, played by Mike Epps.
Yeah, LJ was great.
Well,
my favorite part of the whole movie, probably.
Yeah, who doesn't love Mike Epps? But no, I was talking about the video game characters and Alice, and then new characters. Because I can't even remember the reporter chick's name, who dies very, very terrible death, being eaten to death by kids.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah, I can't remember her name or the guy that was with Jill.
Wasn't it
they met up on the bridge?
Wasn't it Sarah or something? Or am I tripping?
See, yeah, I don't know.
But I don't remember the guy's name either.
Another one of my favorite lines is when he's with the squad that's supposed to be
Ari Morales.
Yeah. He's with the other guys or whatever, and they're telling him to get a gun or something like that, and he holds his gun out and he's like,
my shit is custom.
Motherfucker.
My shit is custom.
Motherfucker, look, my shit is custom. Shit just blew my mind, dude. I cackled like a fucking idiot when I heard them say that. Lost it.
So one of the major pluses of this movie is definitely Mike Epps, which is also going to be a massive negative when we talk about the next film.
Oof.
Oh, what? But
Opinion.
okay, I feel like I need to note this down before I forget it. Now, in this movie, it is revealed who came up with the T virus, or at least in the film franchise, and the fact that his daughter was the likeness of the Red Queen, or was supposed to be. I want to make this a point now because we're going to come back and completely undo this point when it comes time for the final chapter, which falls into my continuity issues that I have with this movie because it completely fucking changed like everything. Everything.
I actually made a note. That completely slipped through the cracks for me, but there's a completely different glaring plot hole in this movie that I made a point about.
Okay.
So I can't remember if it was in this movie or the first movie, or it might have been in both, where it is explicitly stated that the T virus alters living cells. But then the T virus also brought back long dead fucking people in the graveyard.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense. It is a continuity error, and it will not be the last one.
That's facts. Yeah. So then, it becomes a game throughout the movie of, hey, you need to go save my daughter, Angela. I'll get you out. And so Jill and Alice's group, and then Carlos and Nikolai, they meet up at the school, and Nikolai gets turned into Alpo basically by the dogs.
He got.
Yeah. Oh, he got fucking got, and yeah.
Alpo.
And then then what was it? I can't even remember exactly what happens. I mean, I know they go. And then Alice runs down a building. They're trying to hijack the helicopter. They knew it was oh my god, Alice has to fight Nemesis. Nemesis is suddenly a good guy. And then they escape. And then, like, the little video that the weather woman was recording becomes, like, it's like, nope, that's fake news, bro. Fake news. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I think the line that I had written down here, I'm pretty sure was when, I can't remember if it was Alice or if it was Jill that said it, but they were saying it to the person with the camera, the reporter, and she handed her a gun or whatever, and she was like, I don't know how to use one of these things or whatever, and she was like, there's nothing to it. Try to hit him in the head, and then started blasting, and I'm like,
yeah, it was Jill.
She literally didn't. She doesn't know how to use a gun. And you
can tell she's worked at a Walmart before. I don't know how do I stock the shelf? It's easy. Just put the box on the shelf and then walks away. Training. What, am I wrong?
Training. No, you're not wrong. Oh man.
But yeah, so this movie, like I said, it was one of my favorites, but it definitely went down. It didn't hit the same. Like, it really did not hit as good as the first one did this time around. And I was like, I literally found myself watching this movie and I was like, God, why did I like this movie as much as I did? Like, I don't know.
I know exactly why I like this movie as much as I did.
Okay.
This movie is Paul W.S. Anderson's answer to the criticisms that his first movie didn't relate to the games at all, because in the entire franchise, this is the closest we get to a good video game-based Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, it is.
It is almost entirely, beat for beat, the story of Resident Evil 3.
Yeah. I will agree with you that it is the best in the franchise when it comes to video games. Like, 100%. Oh, spoiler alert for later. Whoops. But, yeah, it is the closest that we get to a good one. It's still good. It just, I don't know. It just didn't quite hit with me as well as it did in the past. I had more issues with it than what I remembered there actually being.
I did also make a note that the liquors in the church scene is still one of the coolest scenes in the entire franchise.
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I fuck with it.
When I was watching these movies, I was trying to like curb my bias because I have been very vocal about my distaste for these movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying my best to find the positives in these movies, and in doing that, I kind of overlooked some of the negatives.
Yeah.
So like most of my notes are like about the positive shit. Like the liquors in the church was a really cool scene. Nemesis looks really cool. He's all practical effects. It's really cool. Also, it applies to this movie, but it also applies to the last movie. The dogs, the zombie dogs, were all practical effects as well, which is insane. Those practical effects are fucking insane, and the fact that they were done on real dogs is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just so Paul Anderson did not direct this movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he I think he did not direct Apocalypse and Extinction, but then he directed Afterlife through Final Chapter.
So who directed this one?
Alexander Witt, and I don't know what he has done other than that. Okay, yeah, that is literally basically all he has done.
Well, he did a good job. You can tell he's a fan of the games.
Yeah, a lot of second unit stuff. Like, so for instance, he was like the director of the second unit for Speed, Twister. So he's definitely been a part of some good movies, but actually being the director, he's only got three movies to his credit. Which the other two I've never even heard of, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
But I mean, yeah, this one, the end of this one, leads with Jill, or God damn it, Alice. Sorry, Alice being in an Umbrella underground area, or was it underground, or was this one above ground?
I think this one was above ground.
I think that's still up for debate. I've heard it both ways, but no, she breaks out. My name is Alice, and I remember everything. And then she escapes with Carlos, Mike Epps, and Jill. And then, yeah, you find out that they're like, oh, we can track her via satellite now. What's up? Movie over.
I made a note about this as well. I don't know if one of the three things happened here. I'm not sure which one. I don't know if I made this note because I already had seen the next movies and I knew, or if I had misunderstood what I was seeing. But like, I wrote that clone Alice wakes up in a Umbrella facility. That's why she doesn't remember anything, and then they upload all her memories, and she's like, my name's Alice, I remember everything. And I wrote at the end of that, what the fuck happened to real Alice?
Yeah.
Because you see her die in she's presumed dead in the previous scene, because the helicopter crashes and she gets stabbed by something. I don't know if that was actually... Now you got me second guessing myself. I don't remember if that was actually clone Alice or if that was just regular Alice waking up in that bubble.
I kind of assumed it was real Alice, and they just like took her and made her all good again. That's the way I've always interpreted it. But like you see in Extinction, the other ones come out of, I think, very similar like pods-esque. So it could be clone, it could not be. But that could be a gigantic missed opportunity. And I know that they butchered the fuck out of that with the end of Extinction and the beginning of Afterlife with the clone Alices and stuff. But imagine if like we're on Retribution or Final Chapter. Alice runs into the real Alice, who is like legit badass, not super powered, just badass bitch, like John Wick style. That would have been awesome. Instead of oh, you know what? We've got 100 of these bitches. We're gonna throw it all at Wesker. Here we go. Oh, they're all dead. Oh, well, we didn't really think that one through. Okay, moving on. Yeah, like it. Yeah, just man, I like this movie, but the way I'm talking about it makes me think like I hate it, and I don't, because Nemesis is in it, and it's fucking awesome. That's. But let me run through some numbers really quick. Resident Evil Apocalypse made of a budget of 45 million, and then it ended up bringing 129 million back worldwide, and then 51 of that was from North America. So once again, way more money made overseas. And I'm not going to go super in depth with these, but this one I will. Apocalypse has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 19. It is technically the worst reviewed movie in the franchise.
What?
God damn.
Yeah, I wish I was joking. I'm not.
That is insane.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, okay, just Rotten Tomatoes, because Metacritic, it's a little better, not very much. Cinema score, pretty good. It's on par with the best of best of this franchise. But yeah, when I saw the 19%, I was like, oh, bullshit, dude. Like, I would have at least gave it a 40, you know? It's, I don't know. This one definitely got, apparently a lot of people picked up on what I'm just now seeing back then. Because, yeah, it definitely knocked it down, rewatching it in my rankings and stuff. But all in all, it is still a fun movie. And like I said, Nemesis is in it. It's awesome. Jill's in it. It's awesome. If you love Resident Evil 3, the game, then yeah, you're gonna enjoy this movie, I feel. But other than that, some questionable choices here and there.
I did say previously that I don't think any of the characters from the games are portrayed very well in these movies. Jill is one of two characters from the games that are in these movies that I feel is portrayed fairly well.
Now, I agree, but let me ask you this follow-up. Do you feel that Jill, like, it was good all throughout with Afterlife and then Retribution as well? Do you feel she still did good in those movies? Yeah. No. Okay, that's what I thought. And I agree with that as well. But I guess... what are you guys' closing thoughts on Resident Evil Apocalypse?
I think it's the best in the series. It's my favorite in the series.
I used to think that. I'm sad. I feel like I've been living a lie for almost like 20 years at this point. But, Jacob, last thoughts, or you can finish your tweet, sorry.
No, I was looking through my notes. I don't have anything. I don't think nothing that was written. I just had a mention of End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage playing.
Hell yeah, yes. Can we talk real quick, about the fucking soundtrack of these movies?
Oh, they're great.
Like, the score is done by Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, I've heard that as a critique as well. Like as a critique in the sense that that's what took it away from the more subtle, creepy kind of horror and turned it into the more action-packed, crazy kind of horror that we got in the movies.
I think that main theme that Marilyn Manson composed, I don't know if he composed or if he wrote it or what, I don't know. But it's credited to Marilyn Manson anyway. That main theme is up there with some of the best horror theme songs, in my opinion. I really like it.
I agree. But since we're talking about the soundtrack, hold on, let me run this by you. I'm just going to list off artists. Slipknot, The Used, The Cure, Lacuna Coil, what? A Perfect Circle. I don't remember A Perfect Circle being in this one. I remember it being in the fourth one. Kill Switch Engage, Rammstein, Devil Driver, Cradle of Filth, CKY, Deftones, Him, Demon Hunter, Thrice, 36 Crazy Fists, Cold, Rob Zombie, and Massive Attack.
God damn.
Yeah, it's no Freddy vs. Jason, but damn, it is fucking good.
Yeah, that's a lot. I did not know that half of those. I didn't know that most of those were in there.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of baffled by the Perfect Circle.
I'm baffled by Cradle of Filth. Yeah.
What?
I didn't realize Cradle of Filth is in this.
Yeah, like I don't think it's like in the movie, of course, because like half of the stuff that was on the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack was not even in the movie, and it's over half. It's like 90% of it was not in the movie, and then one of the songs that actually was in the movie didn't even make it to the fucking soundtrack.
Huh.
So, yeah, like for instance, Kill Switch was on the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack too, with When Darkness Falls. So it's nowhere in the movie, but. Its soundtrack is a bitchin' soundtrack. That's one thing, like, a bunch of the movies in the early 2000s did really good. Because, like, I'll say Punisher soundtrack was fucking fire. Daredevil, fire. Freddy vs. Jason, just, this, man, so good.
All of these subpar action movies from the early 2000s had really sick fucking nu metal soundtracks, and I love it.
They spent all their budget on the soundtracks.
Like we know we like put out a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes ass movie, but we got Slipknot for the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's wild.
Resident Evil Extinction. Okay. This fucking movie. Came out September 21st, 2007. I don't even want to give a plot synopsis of this movie. They're running around in the desert. The fucking end. First off, Alice is rocking a Courtney Cox fucking haircut from Scream 3, which is unforgivable. Her psionic powers are out of control. Toby, say something positive.
I got a baked potato.
That's the most positive thing you could have said.
This motherfucker.
Okay, I do actually have positives about this movie.
Okay, good, because I want to hear them.
The zombie crows were fucking cool. I don't care what you say, that scene is fucking cool.
Except for the way that they were dispatched. Like, they were done away with.
I don't even care. That scene was fucking cool.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to use my mind powers. Fire in the sky. I was like, oh, come the fuck on. Like, because the crows were awesome. I like that scene where they just wake up and they're all around them. It's like, oh, shit's about to get fucking real. I like that scene. I just hate the way that it ends because, like, once again, I do not like the superpowered Alice because that just feels cheap to me. It's like, yeah, anybody can survive a zombie apocalypse if you've got fucking psionic powers and you can jump half a fucking building. Like, yeah.
So, I don't know if this was intentional or, I mean, maybe fucking Anderson just wanted to make superhero movies, but I drew the parallel, at least in Apocalypse, I drew the parallel between Alice's superpowers and Wesker. Because keep in mind, the last mainline game that came out before the first movie was Code Veronica. Code Veronica was arguably the point in the series where it started shifting into a more action-y kind of like anime type thing going on with the games.
Yeah.
It was also the first time that we saw Wesker with some superpowers, where he's zipping around and fucking, basically teleporting.
Yeah.
So I drew that comparison with Alice. I was like, okay, they're basically just making Alice Wesker. Until that scene where she starts using fucking telekinesis. And I'm like, what? What? That's weird. That doesn't make any sense from any angle that you look at it. She was infected with a virus. Even if she bonded with the virus on a perfect level like Wesker did, he's just the perfect specimen and they just bonded really well with it. That wouldn't give you fucking mind powers.
Yeah. So everything that you have just said does kind of shed some light for me, because it's like, yeah, Alice, like, if there's like 20 dudes around her and she's just beating the shit out of every single one of them, I'm on board for it. I really am. So that aspect I like, but yeah, like just what you said with the mind powers and this and this and this, like that's where it was reaching way too fucking far and turned me off to the character, if I'm being honest, because it wasn't fun, like, or it wasn't enjoyable to just watch. Oh, I'm gonna use my mind powers. They're dead. Movie over.
What if I just started bleeding from my eyes?
Now, in this movie, we got Carlos back, which is awesome. We got LJ back, which
The
is
only
awesome.
character that you need.
Yeah, until he gets bit and then is a bitch and doesn't just tell people he was bit. And yeah, uh, dumb writing right there. I mean, whatever. Uh, but also, Ali Larter plays Claire Redfield in this movie. So we get our first taste of Claire. Now, Toby, what was your thoughts on Claire in just this movie specifically?
I didn't think it felt like Claire. Because Claire's a badass. And, I mean, Claire in the movies is a badass too, but she kind of takes up like a Rick Grimes kind of role. Like she's
Yeah,
like
that's
the
fair.
leader of the group or whatever.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, like, Claire has never really struck me as a leader. She's
Yeah.
always,
She's a
I
lone
mean,
wolf.
yeah, she's kind of a lone wolf.
Yeah, like she'll take care of the occasional lost Sherry Birkin and whatnot, but yeah, not a leader of a gigantic convoy racing across the now desert United States. Which, okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and sound dumb for asking this, but just to be safe, anywhere in the games does it like literally say the T virus fucking wipes out all vegetation?
No.
Because yeah, okay. That was one of those things that like I'm 95% sure. I hated that. I hated that aspect of this. And then the fact that the rest of the movies don't really adhere to it pisses me off even more about this movie. Because yeah, if it had been a completely dead fucking planet, like trees, vegetation, everything is dead, we still see grass and trees in the next few movies.
I
And
just I just chalked it up to them being in the desert of Nevada.
well, I mean, they were technically in Utah too, but in the opening, like when Alice is, my name is Alice. This is my story. I used to work for the Umbrella Corporation. She's talking about how the T virus, yes, and it caused this thing and it wiped out all vegetation, turning it into a wasteland or a desert or God only knows whatever she says. So it literally says like, oh, the T virus specifically just killed all the plants and anything. And then later in the movie, it's like, no, there's a tree, there's some grass. Shouldn't that be fucking dead? Come on, continuity. Come on.
Nope.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean that's entirely fair.
so here's a question that I'll ask both of you. Did you guys like the casting of Wesker in this movie better, or did you like the casting in Afterlife better? Because there are two different Weskers.
Hmm.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. I So my biggest complaint with Wesker, I wanted to see, the comeuppance, the Captain of Stars, not the I'm CEO or whatever the hell I am of Umbrella Corporation. It's like, no, I know, no, we know you're more, and I wanted more of that. So I don't know. I wasn't big on Wesker in any of these movies except for Afterlife. I'll say Afterlife just because. Well, I'll talk about that later. Um, but yeah, I did not like Wesker in this movie. I didn't like Dr. Isaacs in this movie, even though I do like Ian Glenn. Like, he is awesome. I mean, Batman and Titans, um, Jorah in Game of Thrones. So he's awesome, but I just did not like his character. And then the tyrant that he turns into, I did not like that. Because at least Toby, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've always interpreted the tyrant as having like a big fucking claw, not tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he does have a big fucking claw in the games, at least.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm basing that off of. And if he's supposed to be the tyrant, like when he first turns, he's like, and it's like tentacles. It's not like sharp stabbing like this. It's like that. So that really bothered me. Jacob, what are your thoughts on? Yeah, I was gonna say Toby's got to eat. What's your thoughts on Extinction? Let's talk it, buddy, because I don't like this movie at fucking all.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I didn't like it at all, and honestly, I think this is where everything just goes downhill for me. This one in particular, I thought was particularly boring. For a action horror movie, it wasn't really a whole lot of action in it that I remember. But again, dude, I was trying so hard. I think this is the one movie, maybe not the one movie, but one that I felt it the most where I was like actively wanting it to be over. Like really bad. My earring just
That's fair.
What the fuck? Anyway, yeah, just very boring. And honestly, I think that for me at least, I don't know how the general consensus is across the board, but for me, this one was also the hardest plot to follow from the previous movies. Like, a lot of it just kind of disconnected to me, but maybe I'm just an idiot. I just felt like this one, the plot that they had set up in the first two movies just kind of like, at least that, or it was like way more difficult to connect plot points overall.
Oh.
But that also might have also just been due to the fact that it was boring as fuck. I don't know.
Yeah. I did also forget to mention that there is an underground hidden base in this movie too. So well, yeah. There's more coming. There's more coming.
If you guys are quite finished shitting all over this movie.
Yeah. If you've got more positives, please hit me with them.
I do have positives about this movie.
Okay.
I want to get this out of the way first. This was the first Resident Evil movie that I saw. This was the very first Resident Evil movie that I ever saw. So I do have kind of like a nostalgic bias towards this movie. But as I said at the beginning of this, I was trying to put my bias aside when I was watching these movies. That being said, this movie upped the gore like a motherfucker.
Okay.
From the previous two movies. It is significantly more graphic. Specifically, the scene at the beginning where she gets dropped into the pit and she's fighting the dogs. Those dogs looked fucking disgusting. And I loved it.
Okay.
LJ is back, and he's goofy as fucking ever. The scene when they go to Vegas, where it's all blown over and shit. I thought that was really cool when they fight the smart zombies running out of the container that's definitely too small to hold that many zombies.
Yeah, clown car.
But also, I want to make a note of this right now because I'm going to touch on it at the beginning of the next movie. Like, I need you to let me lead us into the next movie because important thing happens.
Okay.
in the scene where they go into Vegas, they're going into Vegas and everybody's like, whoa, it's all blown over. The desert took it back or whatever. Alice says, and I quote, 5 years with no one to keep the desert away. Or something to that effect. 5 years with nobody to keep the sand out, is what she says. Make a note of that. 5 years. Important.
I think I know where you're going with this, because I have a similar timetable that I want to throw out when we're talking about final chapter. So, yes, I will let you lead. Now, does anybody have any closing stuff before I read some numbers?
Nope. Super boring. Didn't like it.
Yeah, I hate this movie. I really do. Like, rewatching all of them, this is the one that, like, I literally skipped in order. Like, I did eventually rewatch it, but I watched everything else and then I watched this one because I despise this movie. I don't like it, and I've hated it ever since the first trailer where she like jumps up on the thing and I'm like, oh my god, she Courtney Coxed her fucking hair. It's a wrap. It's a wrap already.
I do have one other thing I want to touch on.
Okay.
When Jacob said that this is the downfall of the series, or whatever you said previously, This is like the beginning of the end. I actually made a note. My final note for the next movie is almost word for word what you said about this movie. I was like, what? Oh, fuck. I can't even find it because it's on my phone and I didn't write that part down. But
Jesus.
I said something to the effect of, this is the downfall of the Resident Evil movie series. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah. I think I'm more inclined to agree with you because yes, I do hate I hate this movie. I do not like it. I'm pissed off that I own it, but I'm a collector and it would just look weird not having it.
That's fair.
But Afterlife, well, let me talk Extinction numbers first and then we'll jump right into it. So Resident Evil Extinction. It was made for a budget of $45 million. Total worldwide gross, $149.8 million, with only 50 of that coming from the United States. So these movies, they're making bank. They really are. And we haven't even touched on the ones that made the most fucking money either. So... Resident Evil Afterlife. Freaking September 10th, 2010. 6 years. 6 years to the day. Did you really knock Leon over?
I did. I kicked the thing.
You ruined my intro. Thank you. Do you feel better?
Kinda.
Hope you choke on that
potato. The baked potato's really fucking good, bro.
Hope you choke on it. But 6 years after Apocalypse comes out, Afterlife comes out on the same day. Toby, take it.
So, Extinction ends with Alice finding all of her clones in the facility, and she gets on the fucking hologram projector thingy, and she threatens Wesker. She's like, "I'm coming for you, and I'm bringing my friends."
I was trying to voice that over, and you screwed it up, so now I look stupid.
I'm sorry. I had fucking steak stuck in my teeth. Anyway, the next movie starts in Tokyo, where Alice and her clones are assaulting a base, right?
Most of it was underground, was it not?
Yes, it was. In fact, it was in fact underground.
Okay.
This scene in particular is absolutely fucking insane. It's like straight out of the Matrix. It's super cheesy, lame, hate every second of it. But
that's exactly what Karen said when she was watching it. She's like, "What the fuck is this? The Matrix?"
There's a part in particular where she's fighting off the umbrella guards, and she does like a backflip, but you can see like her axis just fucking like she just.
Does the most so perfect. Yeah.
But no, so the movie starts with a flashback. And then when it goes into the scene where she's assaulting the facility, there is a time card that says 4 years later. This movie literally starts with a continuity error because she stated in the previous movie that it's been 5 years since the outbreak. But in this movie, it states that it's been 4 years since the outbreak. Because the first scene, the flashback scene, is of that little girl walking in the street in Tokyo in the rain.
Yeah.
And she turns into a zombie and bites him. And they state that that was the first infection. Like, that was it. That was the first outbreak. But supposedly that was 4 years ago when Nevada fell 5 years ago. Make up your fucking mind.
Yeah, I find myself saying that a lot with the series in general. because they like, I would be okay, like, if what they laid down in one, they carried it all the way across. I get it. Technology's going to get better. You're going to be able to make that hologram better. Make the hologram same fucking girl, please. Not 3 different girls. Like, that's one thing that bothers me. And I know it's like, it's an AI, it can change form. Yeah, it's not going to fucking do that. It's got other shit that it's doing. The plot of this movie is very simple. Alice is looking for everybody that she lost at the end of Extinction, which part of me wants to say I believe it was 9 months. I think when she captures Claire, or she's doing, I think it's when she originally runs into Claire. She says, like, I've been looking for them for like 9 months or something like that. So there was a little bit of time in between Extinction and Afterlife. And then they're looking for Arcadia. They're flying down the coastline to see if they can find any survivors. They find this prison. They pull off a ridiculous landing on the roof. Oh, the prison's going to be compromised. They're coming in through the walls. We've got to get to Arcadia. And then we find out Arcadia is Umbrella. And yeah, a damn near shot-for-shot ripoff of Resident Evil 5 takes place, which I know it sounds like I'm shitting on it, but I love Resident Evil 5, so I was all for that. And considering the fact that A Perfect Circle was playing in the background, I was really all for that. But yeah, then the movie ends with them freeing everybody on Arcadia. That was the entire plot in 30 seconds.
So, for all of my notes, I made a separate page of notes for every movie because I was taking them down as I was watching the movies.
Yeah.
For every single one of them, they're titled at the top, the name of the movie, and the year it came out. This one, I titled Resident Evil Afterlife, 2000, was it 7?
And
I don't have my notes in front of me. 2010, whatever. And then I subtitled it Resident Evil 5 Tie-In. Because that is literally what this movie is. Resident Evil 5 was the most recent game that came out. It came out a year before this.
bitchin' game.
And literally, this movie just takes shit that makes sense in the context of the game, pulls it out, and sticks it into a movie where it makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I.e. the Executioner.
The Executioner, the big fucking dude with the bag on his head and the hammer. Makes no sense in the context of this movie. What is he? Why is he there?
He's
the
awesome.
The zombies with the fucking shit coming out of their mouth? That makes no sense either. Because there's a fucking trope in zombie movies that I'm sure both of you have seen a million times. The outbreak happens and everybody's super confused, like they've never seen a fucking zombie movie before. They're like, what are these things? How do we kill them? What do we do?
Do I shoot it?
Resident Evil games was a rare occasion where you have zombies in the game and the characters recognize them as zombies. They explicitly call them zombies several times in the games. So it creates this distinction where if it's not a zombie, they make a note of that in the games. In Resident Evil 4, the first one to feature no zombies. The very first enemy that you kill, Leon can go up and inspect the body, and he says he's not a zombie. The same thing happens in Resident Evil 5. The first enemy you kill, Sheba's like, what were they doing to them? And Chris says, they didn't move like any zombies that I've ever seen. It lays the groundwork for them not being zombies. They've got the shit coming out of their mouth, but they're just people. They've got the fucking parasite in them, and it does the wiggly thing. So, but they're not zombies. The movie having zombies with the fucking wiggly shit in their mouth makes no sense. It's never explicitly stated what the fuck is the deal is with this shit. They just have it. It's just there because it was in the game, and you're supposed to be like, oh shit, that's from the game.
Yeah.
Same thing with the fucking executioner and the dogs that have their heads split open.
Yep. 100%.
And the scene, the Wesker fight scene that is shot for shot recreated from the game, just without any of the backstory or the weight or anything, any substance whatsoever. This movie exists solely to cross-promote Resident Evil 5, and it suffers for it.
Yeah. I agree with you. It took way too much from the games. And it, like you said, it did not use them properly in a way that made any goddamn sense. One of the best things that this movie did, however, took away Alice's powers right at the fucking beginning of the movie. Like, the second that happened, I was like, okay, I'm kind of back on board with this. Let's see where it goes. But just like any movie that came out roughly between, 2009 and probably we'll say 2014, 13 maybe, it is a victim of its time, and it's dated because it is pushing 3D down your throat. And so it's like, oh my god, the axe is coming for me! Like, in slow-mo. This movie shouldn't have been called Resident Evil Afterlife. It should have just been called Resident Evil in slow motion. Because that's 90% of this movie is fucking slow motion.
Yeah, I had that on my notes. I had that on my notes, and I also made mention of the 3D use as well.
Yeah, like, it's overkill. It is severe overkill. And so, even though, like I just stated, I hate Resident Evil Extinction, and then there's Apocalypse, and then the first one, those are kind of, I'll say, timeless in my mind. Whereas this, like, anybody can watch those movies and be like, I have no idea what year this came out. You watch Resident Evil Afterlife, you're like, oh yeah, this was one of those early 10 movies that was just using 3D as a gimmick just to make more money. And yeah, dude. Yeah, Toby, you basically hit every point that I have. I will say I liked Claire better in this one because she was more of a lone wolf and more of a badass. And when she blasted the nuts off of the executioner, like, that sequence is awesome. And then, yeah, I like the Wesker fight at the end because I love Resident Evil 5. That's it. This movie also went down a lot in my book. And, oh god, one thing we haven't even touched on, Chris Redfield is in this movie.
I recognize.
I don't know if I'd say all that.
He's there, kind of.
His name is there.
Yeah, you know why he's there? Hey, you guys want to know why he's there? He's there because he was in Resident Evil 5.
Oh shit, he did it. He did it. He went there. But yes, that is 100% correct. I remember when I watched this movie, like, the first time, and even a couple times after, I was like, yeah, I like this movie. I like it a lot. Upon this rewatch, I was like, man, I had some shitty taste in movies or something, because it did not hold up at all. The 3D effects, like I said, are dated. Just all in all, very piss poor usage of the characters that we all hold near and dear to our hearts, except for Jacob. But yeah,
fair.
Here's one question that I'll ask. How the fuck does Wesker survive at the end of this movie? Because they do a very good job of illustrating how powerful the explosives he's using in those things are. He does not walk away from that. Yet he does. Oh,
fucking plot hole. I don't know.
Yeah, dumb shit. Oh, also Toby, and don't forget, Jill from Resident Evil 5 is also in this movie too at the very end.
Yes. I wanted to touch on the fucking Wesker fight scene again because there's one part of that they took from Resident Evil 5 that doesn't make any fucking sense in the context of the movie. The line where Claire and Chris walk into the room, and Wesker's like, "Isn't this one big family reunion?" He says that in the game, but it's because he, Chris, and Jill
are all together.
All worked on the STARS team together, and this is the first time in the entire franchise that we've seen them together again. It's also the reveal that the fucking bird lady is Jill. It works in the context of the game. It's sick. It's a really nice reveal. It doesn't make any fucking sense in the movie because he's like, one big family reunion. You've really become quite an inconvenience for me, Chris. How? This is the first time you guys have been on screen together.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Chris has been locked up in a prison for fucking God knows how long.
And it's not like they didn't even hint that there was a relationship with Chris and Wesker. It wasn't like they're like, oh yeah, Wesker was STARS with Chris and this and that. No, that is never brought up. So it's like, how is he an inconvenience to you? Do you even know who this bastard is? Because he doesn't know who you are. Like, what the? Yeah, no. 100% right on that one as well, Toby.
And this is the first time Chris has been in the movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I also thought that was a little odd because I don't remember any of that being built up towards in the previous movies, which is that's pretty much my whole thing with this one. Whereas the last one, yes, was extremely boring and the plot points were loosely tying together everything to make me kind of understand what's going on. This is the one that I was just like, oh, okay, this is a little bit less droning, I think, as a movie, like as a whole, is a little bit less droning than the last one, but I couldn't follow a single fucking thing in this movie. Like, none of it. I just could not understand anything that was happening.
Yeah.
You know what that is? Because it's just taking shit from Resident Evil 5.
Which is probably what I know, probably one of the games I know less about compared to the other ones.
So good. I love Resident Evil 5.
It is great. It's probably my second favorite in the entire franchise.
Same.
And it's fucking co-op, so if you ever want to play it, Jacob, hit me up.
Oh, actually, we did a couch co-op video including that. We played a little bit of it.
Yeah, don't hit him up. Hit me up. Fuck you, Toby. I've got my unlimited ammo Hydra. I'm ready to fuck shit up. Okay, that's all I need.
That was my biggest problem with this movie. Like, it didn't affect me the same way when I watched it the first time because I had played the games. So I was recognizing all this shit, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's the Executioner. Oh, they did the Wesker thing. That's cool. But when I actually watched this movie and actively tried to remove that bias, I was like, this doesn't make fucking sense. Yeah. If I had never played Resident Evil 5, none of this shit would make sense.
It didn't.
Yeah.
And I've never played Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, it was not pieced together in a way that, like, Jacob could easily understand it. No, if you did not play Resident Evil 5, you couldn't fill in those gaps. Like, we can, and it still doesn't even make sense when you do. So, Either way, just bad execution all around, because even if you played the game, you get the references, but then you don't know why they're in there. But then if you didn't play the game, you're like, why is this important? I know nothing. What? Either way, very dissatisfying all around.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier about them adding too much from the games. Because the first movie was a great success. They didn't lean very hard into the games at all, and it was a good movie. It worked on its own. You can watch that movie and never have played any of the games, and you can still follow what's going on. It works. Yeah. But then they started adding shit from the games to please the fans, but they did it in a way that doesn't make sense in the context of the movies.
Yeah.
So if they had just leaned into, this is a thing that's happening in the Resident Evil universe, but it's our own thing, that would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even have to include Chris in this movie. Chris did not need to be here.
Yeah.
And even if they did, they should have introduced him way earlier. At least establish something with him to
I know this
would make sense, but
not to mention he's never seen again.
Yeah.
He's never seen again in the entire rest of the franchise. He doesn't die.
In the movie, at least.
He doesn't die. He's just never seen again. Never seen or heard from again.
He dies off camera.
You know, I've got a controversial opinion, Toby, and Jacob, yeah, you won't know it. It's game related.
Okay.
I honestly feel like with everything they developed, they could have legit used Billy Cohen in that prison cell instead of Chris, and it would have worked.
Yeah, it would have been better.
Yeah, because...
It also would have... I mean, I know the movies and the games are not exactly connected, but it would have at least given us a little bit more screen time for Billy.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest dangling plot threads in the games. What the fuck happened to him?
Yeah.
He showed up for one game and then dipped. And we've never seen him again. Nobody's even mentioned him.
Hear that, Capcom? Make it happen.
That was in the prequel to the first game.
Yeah.
We saw him before the mansion incident. He was there at the very beginning, and he never showed up again in almost, like 20, 30 years?
Yeah. Yeah, it came out either, I think it was late 2002 or late 2003 for GameCube. So,
I was talking about, like, in the context of the game. Because the first game takes place in 92, right?
98.
95? Is it 98?
Yeah, I believe it's 98 or 96.
I don't know. He never shows up again, though. We see him one time, and he never shows up again. So that would have been cool to get him in the movie. But no, we have to have Chris because he was in the boulder punching game.
Hey, shut your whore mouth. I'll punch that boulder for days. I don't give a shit. So, Resident Evil Afterlife was made for a budget of $60 million. Any idea how much money it brought in?
I don't know, but I can guarantee you a lot of that budget went to the 3D.
$300 million. Over $300 million.
God damn.
With 60 of that being from the US. Once again, this movie made a lot of fucking money. And at the time, I was happy with it. I get it. Looking back at it on it now, I don't know how the fuck it made this much money because, Jesus, it's just a mess. It is a mess of a movie. So, final thoughts from either one of you guys?
I almost guarantee you it made that much money because it took so much from Resident Evil 5. People played Resident Evil 5 was Capcom's best-selling video game of all time.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I think it still is. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it still is to this day.
I'll double check that because I hope that's the case. But I thought Monster Hunter actually dethroned it. It
might have, but Resident Evil 5 was, in fact, one of the best-selling video games of all time.
Yeah.
Like, not even just Capcom, of all time.
Monster Hunter World.
it was very, very popular, and a lot of people bought that game. So when they see a movie with the Executioner and Wesker and Chris coming out a year later, they're like, oh shit, gotta go see that. Loved that in the game.
Man, I don't want to believe these numbers because it's saying Street Fighter 2 was Capcom's number one. And then Monster Hunter World, and then Resident Evil 5. But this list also says it's accurate up through March 31st of 2022. So,
my final thoughts on all of it, Toby. You know how when we play Warzone for like extended amounts of time, or we used to play Warzone till the wee hours in the morning and shit, and we get to a point where we were just getting our asses handed to us, and we would both just be like, all right, dude, I'm going to bed. That's exactly what I did after watching this movie. I looked at it confused, scared, crying, pissing myself, and just like drooling, trying to figure out what the fuck was happening. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going to bed.
That's valid.
Yeah. But now we've got to talk about Resident Evil Retribution.
Okay, so obviously, just a disclaimer: this one and the next one I did not watch because I'm a slacker.
We're envious.
Yeah, I'm a slacker, but it turns out I'm not missing much. So,
Resident Evil Retribution, in my opinion, based on my opinion of the last movie, is something of a retribution for this franchise. Yeah. I actually liked this movie significantly more than I remembered liking it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. The movie came out September.
While you guys get into that, I'm going to run to the bathroom.
Okay.
We're still recording. Go ahead.
Movie came out September 14th, 2012. And yeah, it's... okay, we don't have an underground base in this one. We have an under-the-sea triple dome base simulation area.
Do you know what it's called?
What?
Did you pick up on what the facility is called?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was called.
They called it the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard. This facility is called Umbrella Prime.
Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Okay. Let's blitz through this plot synopsis, and we'll blitz through this goddamn movie too. Which I shouldn't say that because I did enjoy this one. I guess after the last two, I'm still bitter and talking about it. But this opens up, basically there is a simulation running of the outbreak. Why they need to run the simulation still to this day, I don't know. But they've got hundreds of thousands of clones of they said the number in the movie, 30 people or something like that. I can't remember. But that is a good way to bring back characters from the other movies. So we get Carlos back. We get the guy who got diced with the lasers from 1 back. We got Michelle Rodriguez back. So Toby, it went from 6 to midnight in his pants because of that. And basically everybody, they got to save Alice out of these bunkers or these domes. And Alice becomes attached to one of the girls that was a clone, that was her daughter in the simulation or whatever, which kind of creates a Ripley Newt effect in this movie, especially considering the little girl gets taken later and she's got to go in Ellen Ripley style and get her back.
I actually thought that was really cool. I thought that was very a humanizing moment in a movie franchise that is so fucking off the rails at this point.
Yeah.
It's so... These movies are up here when the ground level is all the fucking way down here. And that was a nice scene where when Alice notices that the little girl's mother is dead, and I forget who the fuck it is. I think it's Ada. Ada says, she's not real. I can show you 100 more just like her.
Yeah.
And Alice says it's real to her, though. That's a cool moment. I like that. I really like that moment.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I like that they brought back like people from the first movie and Apocalypse and Extinction. Let's talk about some new additions to the crew because we didn't even talk about Luther. I can't remember Luther Cage, was that his name from Afterlife?
Luther West.
Luther West, that's what it was.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm reaching here, but do you think that may perhaps be an Easter egg to another Capcom zombie franchise?
Enlighten me.
Dead Rising, Frank West.
Oh, okay. I like when you said that, I was like, okay, list of Capcom zombie games. My mind legit went blank. I even forgot about the Resident Evil games. So I was like, what? But anyways, yeah, Luther West is back, and his backstory in Afterlife is that he's a famous basketball player. Why are they... What?
Now he's suddenly on a fucking Umbrella hired fucking mercenary squad?
Yeah, LeBron James is doing contract work now? What the shit? Like, that makes no sense. Once again, I need to stress, I like this movie. I know it sounds like I'm talking a lot of shit about it. It's just the franchise as a whole, and the worst is coming. Or part of the worst.
But this is one of the better movies in the franchise, in my opinion, but it's also just fucking off the rails and makes no sense. Like, yeah. It really feels like it needs... After Extinction, every movie after that, it's like the fucking writers are forgetting the shit that they put in place previously.
Yes. That's going to be a big thing when I talk about Final Chapter.
Yeah. I got some thoughts on that, too.
Yeah.
Like... I don't know how the fuck the writers can just forget the shit that they wrote for the script like 10 minutes ago. But like,
they do.
We'll talk about that in the next movie.
Dante,
but anyway,
say hi.
Oh, hello.
Say hi, Dante. Oh no, he's freaking out. Oh no. Oh, God, that was going to end bad for my nether regions, because he just... What? But
yes, so, we have returning characters in Luther West, but you know who doesn't return? Chris Redfield.
Yep, and Claire's absent, too.
That's because
everybody...
This isn't Resident Evil 5 anymore.
Yeah. No, the fucking previous movie ended on the boat, right? When the things are all coming in and blowing shit up, and
well, the blowing shit up takes place in the beginning, and it's shot in complete reverse.
I did make a note that was fucking cool. That whole intro sequence being in reverse and slow motion was fucking cool.
That was that was a good use of slow motion. Let's just point that out.
But this movie picks up at the exact moment that the last movie leaves off. And that last movie left off with Alice. Who was it? Alice, Chris, Claire
and Kmart.
We're all standing on the boat, watching the planes come in. And then this next movie, the planes are attacking. Everybody's in a fucking gunfight and whatever. Alice falls in the water. And then we never see any of those other characters ever again. Did they die?
We see one of them again.
Yeah, that's fair. But what happened to the rest of them? Did they die? Did they fucking fall in the water? Are they living out their fantasies of being a pig farmer in fucking Iceland? What's happening?
So I will say
I'm
definitely salty that Chris was never mentioned again in the movie. Like, and they are like just the franchise for this run. They could have said something, especially in the last chapter, or the final chapter. Like, Claire could have been like, oh yeah, Chris is doing this, or Chris is dead, which if they would have done either way, they were screwed in that scenario. Nobody wants to hear Chris Redfield has died off camera because that's just a fucking no. That ain't gonna happen. Kmart, I don't give a shit about. She was just a throwaway character. Whatever. She could have died in the gunfight. I wouldn't have lost any sleep over it. But Chris, I was very like, what the fuck? Where is he? What else is there from Rich? Oh yeah, let's talk about a couple new characters real quick. Leon Kennedy and Barry Burton. I'm real curious about your thoughts on them, Toby, because
Barry Burton.
When this movie was being advertised, and I saw Leon, Barry, and Ada all in this movie. Those are my 3 favorite characters in the Resident Evil franchise. I was fucking stoked for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to see it in theaters, and I wanted it off myself. Oh my god, dude.
Just a quick note, because you mentioned Barry Burton's. And this is just a side thing completely, and it's about the games, of course. But Derek, if you ever get a chance to watch Kadikarus, he's a YouTuber named Kadikarus on YouTube. Fucking hilarious. He's stupid funny. He does a review of quite a few of the Resident Evil games, I'm pretty sure. But dude, every single time he says Barry Burton's, annihilates me. I lose my fucking shit every single time he says it.
Barry Burton.
Dude, just if you get a minute to watch Kadikarus's videos, any of them, but especially the Resident Evil ones, dude, you gotta watch them. They're super funny. Super funny.
I definitely will. But with Leon, I didn't feel like it was like a 6 out of a 10 with Leon. It wasn't perfect, but I felt that was passable. Barry, I did not like. I was like, really? That guy's Barry? Like,
here's the thing. I think they were cast well. I think the likeness is fine. Especially Ada.
Ada was like a 10.
I want to talk about Ada for a second. Ada in this movie is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, the actress that plays Ada, her name is Li Bingbing. And she looks so much like Ada, like she was born to play this role.
Yeah.
But I only found this out by complete accident because I was looking up the actress's name so that I could mention her in this video. I didn't know this, but it all makes perfect sense now. This actress is from China. And she has a very, very thick accent. And Ada does not have an accent. The character Ada does not have an accent.
Yeah.
So to I guess combat that, they got the original voice actress that does Ada in the games to voice over all of her lines.
No way. For real?
Yes. And you can't even tell. You literally watching the movie, you cannot tell that is dubbed.
I was today years old when I found that out. That is awesome.
Insane.
But yeah, no, Ada. Yeah, Ada was perfect in this movie. So that's why, like, when I said I'd give Leon like a 6, because I felt like it could have done better. Ada was a 10. She was perfectly casted for this movie, and it was just. She was awesome in it. I wish we would have had a little bit more of her, but just like Ada in any of the video games, except minus, what was it, 6, she had her own campaign, and then 4, they had the DLC for her. You never get a whole lot of Ada. So I was happy with what I got. I did want more, but I'm not going to complain about that by any means. But, dude, the Barry casting, though, that did bother me. I wanted... Barry ain't some freaking jacked up dude. No, he's not that. And so that's where I wish they would have stuck a little closer to the actual character than what they did. But hey, at least Barry got mentioned and even got to be in a movie, because God knows other iterations completely forget him altogether when they try to adapt the first 2 games into a movie.
It's actually interesting. Jacob, before we started recording, was saying that he was watching Vikings, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the character's name, but like the mysterious stranger that shows up in Vikings is the guy that plays Barry Burton in this movie.
Same guy that plays the Blob in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That's what he was from. Okay, yeah, I was like, I know I've seen him in a bunch of... Yeah, that's Blob, dude.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's in Vikings he is harbored. He's supposed to be a mysterious entity that comes and impregnates a bunch of women and shit, and he's literally in 2 episodes, which is weird because he comes in one episode and then like several episodes later, like the only reason you would even remember that it happened was because the characters bring him up again, and then he happens to pop in again one more time, I think, and that's it, unless he comes in the later seasons. But yeah, it's the same guy that plays the Blob. He's actually in a bunch of stuff, but I recently was watching New Rockstar's breakdown of X-Men Wolverine, or X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that's why I said that one first. But yeah, he's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He's a
lot
great
of
actor.
good movies too.
Yeah. He's great. Dude,
yeah, and
if you haven't seen him as Harbored from Vikings though, look up his character, dude. He's fucking jacked. The dude is completely jacked, ripped to shit. He's got this long braided hair and this thick ass beard, dude. He looks intimidating.
Man, I do not. He was in Lost, I guess, but I don't remember him from Lost.
Oh yeah. I never watched Lost, but I do remember seeing him in a screenshot from something I was watching from Lost.
Yeah, what's the actor's name, Derek?
Kevin Durand.
Yeah.
Kevin Durand. Yes, he plays Barry Burton in this movie, and like he looks enough like Barry. Like, I don't think the casting was bad for him or Leon. I think the execution, or like the utilization of those characters, is bad.
Yeah, because essentially we're just the guys that are going to get you out kind of thing, not actually like, oh, hey, we're introducing you, we're going to, develop your character or anything. No, they're just mercenaries trying to get save Alice. That's it. And they got 2 major fan favorite characters from the games that people have been waiting to see in these movies for a long time. And they're reduced to just umbrella mercenaries. Yeah, that's it.
And like Barry in the games, at least, is known for his goofy little quips, right? Like he's the guy that says all the funny lines, all the fucking Jewel sandwich, and the fucking
I wish we could have timed that out perfect, but yeah.
He does not have a single one-liner in this entire movie, and it pisses me off.
Yeah. Nope, I get that. Whenever I should clarify this, because I don't think he did bad. It wasn't like his acting was god awful or anything like that. He did great, but yeah, just overall in writing and execution, it just seems like somebody was like, "Here, let's get Leon Kennedy and Barry Burton, work them into this story. You haven't played the games? Cool, we'll figure it out." That's what I felt like with those 2. And one thing, so when Toby was saying earlier that these movies kind of coincide with game releases, not entirely accurate, because this actually came out before Resident Evil 6 and was using the Dravo from Resident Evil 6. Like, as they were developing the game, they let the people from the movie come check it out. They incorporated that into this movie, which, if you haven't played Resident Evil 6, don't. Okay.
I've heard that.
That was my PSA for the day.
I've heard that from some people, actually, that Resident Evil 6 is not great.
Here's my PSA. Don't listen to Derek. Resident Evil 6 is an underrated game. Go play it.
Oof.
Toby just lost all of his street cred right there saying that. Leon's campaign was good until the end, and then it was getting out of control. Jake? Is that his name? Wesker's son?
Jake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care. And then Chris's shooter campaign, not Resident fucking Evil. Leon's, yes. Ada's was alright. I think I've only played that through like once, but yeah, no. Like when a third of your game is good, you don't get it. No, 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 not with
But
Resident Evil 6. No. The only good thing,
sure,
the only good thing that game did was allow you to move and shoot at the same time. That's it.
sure, a third of the game might be good, but do you realize how much content is in that game?
Oh, I realize how big that game
All
is.
all of the characters. There's fucking 4 different campaigns, and they're all like full length campaigns.
And you know what? They went quantity over quality for 6, and it showed.
I was gonna
Because
say
that's why we got
sometimes less is more.
Resident Evil 7 the way Resident Evil 7 happened. Because 6 was that bad.
I can't attest to the quality and over quantity thing for Resident Evil, of course, but like I can definitely see like less is more on some occasions, and like what was that one game that was trying to go above and beyond, No Man's Sky or
No
something
Man's
like that.
Sky, yeah.
And there's just so much in it, but there's not. you know, I guess as of recently they've updated it to the point where there actually is a little bit more to it, but I know when it released,
Yeah, it is. It's
was
basically what they advertised back in the days, what we have now.
Yes.
And I've
When it
heard really
released-
good things, but
when it released,
Yeah.
there's all this stuff that's supposed to be here, and then barren.
that is 100% accurate.
But again,
But-
I've never played 6, so it is what
I
it is.
think Resident Evil 6 just overstayed its welcome and people got bored of it. But my hot take is Resident Evil 7 is overrated and it's not that good.
Oof.
I'm not gonna say that it's bad or overrated. I thought it was good. It's not one of the ones that I'll want to replay in the series. But the reason I brought that up is because Capcom realized with the bad reviews and stuff from 6, they're like, okay, we got to change the formula up. So that's why Resident Evil 7 happened the way that it did. And it was good. It wasn't bad. It wasn't groundbreaking or amazing. It was good. It was solid. It was different. But anyways,
Resident Evil 7 is the only game that I played any of before I met Toby. And
Yeah.
I played like the first 10 minutes.
And pooped his pants and was scared. I get it.
It was
But
actually,
anyways.
it was actually VR, and I got motion sick, so I fucking took it off.
Okay, he definitely pooped his pants then if he was playing in VR.
It
But
was
okay,
pretty scary, but I mean,
we're getting off topic. We're talking about games hardcore.
Yeah.
All right, so then Retribution's ending. They're escaping. Nuh-uh. Fucking who was it? It was Jill. It was Michelle Rodriguez. Was it just those two or was there more? But anyways, Jill's already super powered, so she's ready to fight. Michelle Rodriguez injects the Nis into her, making her a Dravo. And
it was the Las Plagas. They explicitly state that it's the Las Plagas parasite.
Really?
Yes. She injects that into her neck, and it cuts over. It cuts over to Leon, and he says, "The Las Plagas parasite," as if the viewer didn't know what that was, because at this point, the filmmakers realize that if you haven't played the games, you don't know what the fuck is going on. So you have to have a character in the movie that explicitly states what is going on.
Yeah. Okay. But they're just like okay, so maybe not Michelle Rodriguez, but the other military guys. They're straight up Dravo from fucking
Nope.
Sick. They
Las
can say Las
Plagas.
Plagas. Yeah, I know. I'm reading it right here. That's fucking Dravo, though. They just took it and renamed it for the movies. Another dumb thing that this thing has done. But anyways, no, she injects herself with Las Plagas. Happy? And then, you know, she can punch you in the chest and stop your heart. So that's what happens to poor Luther. And then Leon gets fucked up, which, not gonna lie, I never want to see that happening, but Leon's my boy. But ultimately they defeat evil. They go back. Wesker's holed up in the White House, of all places. And he gives Alice her powers back, and then there's going to be this big, huge final battle, and then the movie ends.
Wesker explicitly requests Alice's presence to the White House,
Yes.
he calls them all there because humanity is making its final stand against the T-virus.
And it ended up being a trap.
We have a final shot of them standing on the roof of the White House. It is Wesker, Ada, Leon, Jill, and Alice are all standing on the roof of the White House about to make humanity's last stand. They are completely surrounded by miles of fucking zombies and monsters and shit. And that is where the movie ends.
Totally awesome closing shot.
It would have been.
Yeah, it would have been.
Okay, it was. It was a really cool ending shot.
Oh,
but
don't
it's
worry.
completely squandered in the next movie.
Oh, dude, yeah, because once again, like, so just like the ending of the first one, when they step outside, I was like, okay, fuck, I am ready for this. I'm ready for the sequel. And, yeah. So, Resident Evil Retribution was made for a budget of $65 million, and it brought back $240 million worldwide, with only 42 of it being from North America.
Oof.
So, yeah. So, not making very much money. Well, I mean, it's still a lot of money, but compared to the others. But part of the reason I wanted to rush that and end it was so we could immediately talk about how Resident Evil, the final chapter, which came out January 27th of 2017, I believe, did nothing with that awesome ending.
Fact check that, because there was a fucking, 5-year gap, I'm pretty sure, between these movies.
Yeah, no, it was January 27th. I knew I was right about the date, but the year I didn't know if it's 16 or 17. But yeah, it was a 5-year gap.
There was a 5-year gap between, you had to wait 5 years to see what could have been the coolest fucking scene in the entire franchise of all of the fan favorite characters and Alice against a fucking army of zombies and monsters and all this crazy shit. They all died off screen.
Yeah, so Resident Evil Final Chapter. It's a doozy of a movie. Yeah, no, Toby, believe me, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna get to one of my first major complaints. Right out of the gate, this movie fucks up in changing the backstory. Because it was established that the guy from Resident Evil 2, Ashford, he created the virus so Angela could walk. In this, it says, oh no, Marcus made the thing for his daughter because she has the fucking Robin Williams from Jack disease, and so she's 25, but she looks 75. And it was supposed to slow that down. So right out of the gate, it changes already previously established story, and not in a smooth or whatever way. It changes the Red Queen, which she was different in Retribution than she was in Resident Evil 1. They change her again for the third time, just so I'm assuming just so Paul Anderson could direct his daughter, because that is him and Mila Jovovich's daughter.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she is the Red Queen and Alicia Marcus in Resident Evil Final Chapter. So I was already pissed about that. This movie is a hodgepodge of just shit. And because we're recording today, 4 days ago in my Facebook memories popped up, Resident Evil Final Chapter is out. Avoid it like it's the T-virus. It is bad. Now, I have lightened up a little bit to this movie. Not very much, though, because I can't forgive the continuity, issues in the very beginning and the very end, which I'll talk about in a little bit.
I can't wait to talk about the end of this movie.
Oh, my God. Whatever. You having a good time, Jacob?
I'm loving every second of this.
So, by this point, the Resident Evil film franchise for me hit a point where it's like, stop introducing characters just to kill them off because I do not give a shit about them. You brought Claire back. Cool. She was good in Afterlife, in my opinion. Didn't think she was that great in Final Chapter. But all the other people that, like, Alice comes into contact with, there is no backstory. There is no nothing. Oh, she's good with fucking engineering or something, like the Ruby Rose, whatever she played. Yeah, she got sucked in the fan. I wasn't like, oh my god, no. I was like, fucking typical. We're just introducing characters to kill them off. That's basically it. I don't feel the need to want to be attached to any of these characters. And then, Toby, your video is gone.
Yeah, I exited the video because I have to go to my notes for something.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine.
I just remembered a really funny thing that I wrote in my notes for this movie. There's a scene where, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good. Go ahead.
There is a scene where the fucking tank is rolling up to their fortress with the whole horde of zombies behind them, and they release a bait survivor. The survivor's running for the fortress, and there's a fucking wall of zombies behind her.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes, there are a literal million zombies and a fucking rolling fortress coming at your building that is being held together by duct tape. Why would you open the gates for one survivor?
Yeah. Absolutely stupid.
Alex saw that one fucking survivor and was like, open the gates. Bitch.
Nah.
You're stupid as fuck.
You can't save them all. Fuck.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
If she had superpowers, she could have.
And
That's
another
true.
I know I'm jumping ahead. I'm not going to do a very good job explaining the plot, because the plot of this movie, fuck it, it's just dumb. And it's dumb all around. But one thing that they never hinted at throughout the other movies that would have been better for this movie, which to me shows that they had no idea. They would just, we got a sequel. What are we gonna throw at the wall and see what sticks? Okay, that was it. It wasn't like a crafted, like, okay, we're gonna do 6 movies. These elements need to happen here, so we get this payoff here. No, there was none of that. So when she's like, I don't remember much. I don't remember my childhood. That's literally brought up in this fucking movie. No other movies whatsoever. So then when you find out that she's been a clone of the real Alicia Marcus the whole time, you're like, okay, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, I got nothing from that. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I guarantee you Jacob doesn't,
Not
though.
a clue.
Well, okay. I'm trying to think of a way to... I don't know. This became so important in this movie. It was not important or mentioned in any other movie. So then it was supposed to be like,
Yeah, no,
she got her memories.
There is a thing that happens in this movie where at the very beginning, it's retconned. Like, basically the whole origin of the T-virus is retconned. And they're like, so this dude named Marcus developed the T-virus to save his daughter Alicia from this, like, rapid aging disease that she has.
Like Robin Williams and Jack.
And the Red Queen AI is developed in her likeness, the daughter's likeness.
Right.
And, obviously the whole shit goes to fuck and the world ends. And Marcus and all of the Umbrella, like, hirelings go into cryosleep in the hive. So the Red Queen wakes up and is like, hey, Alice, I'm turning on Umbrella and I need you to go to the hive, and the antivirus is there. You can disperse the antivirus into the atmosphere and it will completely eradicate the T-virus from the world. You could end this whole thing save the world, you know.
But you're infected with the T virus as well, so you will have
And
to sacrifice yourself as well.
the the plot of the movie is like Alice and this group of survivors are making their way to the hive, which would have been so much fucking cooler, by the way, if it had been Leon, Ada, Jill, and fucking
Claire.
Billy Cohen.
Claire. If it was the people on the rooftop of the White House making their way here, oh my god, it would have been so much fucking better, because then you have these characters that people actually care about dying for a cause that is actually has some substance to it.
Yeah. And also, we're going back to the original underground base in this movie. Yeah.
Yes, we're going back to the very first movie. Very first movie.
Just gotta, and you know what? Lasers are back in this movie,
Hell
right?
Yeah.
Underground base.
Yes.
We have Laser Hallway again.
Hell
Yeah. But I agree 100%. Like, because, like I said, these characters literally just come into the fold, and then it's like they're dead. They're dead.
I don't even remember any of their names.
Yeah,
other
I
than
don't
Claire.
either. Yeah, Claire's the only one to remember. They're all just throwaway characters.
Like,
And,
imagine if it had been Ada getting sucked into that fan.
oh, I would have been fucking furious, but like in an actual engaged way, not oh shit, there she goes.
There
Yeah.
she goes again.
Like, that scene is structured in a way that, like, right before she loses her grip and gets sucked into the fan, it goes all slow motion, and it's got this really somber music playing, like you're supposed to care about this character that you just met 5 minutes ago. It's so dumb.
Because I mean, imagine if it was Leon holding on to her, and then you're like, oh, dude, that would have ripped my heart out. It really would have, but like in a good way, in a way that you want it to in a movie. But it didn't. It didn't do any of that. It was, hey, here's these new characters.
Instead we fucking killed off all of your favorite characters off screen, so you don't even know what happened to them, and now we're just giving you all these random cannon fodder characters that can die.
Yeah, just
for the purpose of the plot.
Just garbage. And then the end, you know. I know I'm jumping ahead. I don't want to waste any more time.
Oh no, I was going to ask if you're ready to talk about the end, because the end of this movie is so fucking stupid. It literally contradicts itself within 10 minutes of the exposition.
Because, yeah, Alice goes above ground and sets off the antivirus. Everything starts dying around her. Mission accomplished. But wait, Alice is still alive.
Wrong.
Yeah, I would say that pisses me off, because even if the virus was not like active in her, it was still fucking in her, and that virus or the antivirus was supposed to kill anything with the T virus in it. And you know what I love more than my son is a movie that's called The Final Chapter, and one of the last lines of dialogue is, "My job ain't done yet." Bitch, this is the final fucking chapter. It better be done.
What's the point of the title?
Yeah, like Resident Evil, it might be over. We don't know. We'll see where it goes.
Resident Evil, the second to last chapter.
Yeah, like, I mean, just this movie just is not good, because yeah, it wasted a totally awesome setup from Retribution, which even if we didn't get that totally awesome sequence, we still could have had those characters instead of the ones that we got. It would have made it better. They missed fucking hard on this one. Like, badly missed on this one.
Resident Evil, the final chapter, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe the final chapter?
I want to give a quick rundown of my perspective of this ending. So, she defeats Wesker in the underground base, and or rather, she defeats Isaacs.
Yeah.
And Wesker. And she comes face to face with the little girl that she is a clone of. Alice finds out that this whole time she's been a clone of this little girl that the T virus was developed to save. This girl is now an old lady.
No, Robin Williams from Jack Disease, dude. She's probably 25.
Yeah. Yes. She's freaking out because she just discovered she's a clone. And Alicia is like, you're the woman that I could never be, or something like that. And she goes up, she gets a hold of the antivirus. And Alicia is like, you have to go up and disperse this into the atmosphere. It'll kill anything that is infected with the T-virus. Even though that is not at all how the antivirus has been shown to work in the entire rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
Think of Carlos when he got bit in Extinction. Or Apocalypse.
Yeah, they used the little...
He gets bit in Apocalypse, and he's just sticks the antivirus in him, he's fine. He shows up in the next movie, he's completely fine. It kills the antivirus, or it kills the T-virus, doesn't kill him. That is a load of bullshit. The antivirus does not kill what is infected with the T-virus. It's never done that. But let's just say for the plot that it does. It kills off everything that is infected with the T-virus. It's going to kill off everything in the entire world, including Alice. She literally says it kills everything that is infected with the T-virus. You know what that means for you. And Alice is like, yes, I understand. It's going to kill me.
The ultimate sacrifice.
She goes up, she does the thing, she falls on the ground, and then she wakes up and she's like, wait, I'm alive.
What is going on here?
The facility that has Alicia in it fucking explodes. Alicia's dead. But before Alicia died, she uploaded all of her memories into this little thing so that Alice could have the childhood that she never had.
Yeah, once again, those memories that were never mentioned
in
any movie.
Alicia tells Alice that the antivirus is going to kill everything that is infected with the T-virus, including Alice. Alicia tells her that you're going to die if you do this. But then she still uploads these memories, assuming that Alice is going to survive for some fucking reason.
I get what you're saying now, yes. Stupid.
Like, if you knew she was going to die, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
But then she doesn't die,
so it doesn't
because the antivirus actually doesn't work how the character 10 minutes ago just told us that it works. For some reason.
It has to disperse throughout the atmosphere.
It kills everything except Alice, even though they just told us 10 minutes ago that it's going to kill Alice too.
Yeah, but they also said that it kills all the vegetation and shit apparently as well, so...
That's true.
Or not the antivirus, but the... You know what I mean. And that never happened, so...
But like...
Only for that movie.
It goes back to what I was saying about the writers just fucking writing some shit down and then flipping the page and completely forgetting what they wrote on that last page.
Yeah. Let alone the other 5 movies at this point. Like, consistency... Oh, go ahead, Toby.
You can't remain consistent throughout the franchise. You can't even remain consistent for 10 minutes from one scene to the next. Like, you just told us explicitly that this is how the antivirus works, and then in the very next scene, that's not how it works. Alice should have died. Alice should have died in this movie.
I agree 100%. She, and not in like a mean or vindictive way, just story-wise, everything that was presented to us, she should have died, and then, humanity back, like, slowly rebuilding. But no, instead, Alice lives, and then we find out that her work is not done yet, despite it being the final chapter. And yeah, this movie was a train wreck. It's I'll go ahead and say it's rare that you find a franchise that has this many movies, and yet some of them in this series are that fucking bad. And I'm talking Extinction, Afterlife, and Final Chapter are fucking awful. It's literally like I don't know which one to put as my absolute worst some days. Like I really don't, because there are horrible elements to each. Closing thoughts, Toby?
This movie pissed me off so bad when I saw it in theaters that I did not watch it again until I watched it for this podcast. And as I was making my way through the movie, after I got past the whole all of the characters dying off screen thing, like as I was watching the movie, I was like, this is alright. This isn't as bad as I remembered it being. It's got some cool shit. They brought the fucking Hydra in.
Yes, thank you. I
That's
forgot
cool.
to fucking mention that.
Like it was cool. It was an alright movie up until the very fucking end when it just goes off the rail and doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I think if you take out the beginning, which what retcons how the virus was originally developed, at least according to Resident Evil Apocalypse, and then the ending where it does not hold true to anything that it's been telling us, it would actually be an okay movie. But the beginning pisses me off, and then just like you said, when I start to come back on board, then boom, I'm already back at the parts where I'm like, no, this is fucking dumb. This is fucking dumb. So I agree with you. And if the beginning and end were different, or at least better suited to, I don't know, have some consistency throughout the franchise, it would have been a much better movie. And yeah, because I was thinking, I was like, this would be a pretty damn good movie if these two things were different.
Yep.
So, Resident Evil, the final chapter, was made for $40 million. And then it brought back a whopping $314 million worldwide, with only 26 of it being from the U.S.
The U.S. at this point had just been fed up with this franchise.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, not buying into that ever again.
Well, this is going to sound bad. I kind of wish we would have stayed fed up with the franchise, but then November 24th, 2021, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, was unleashed upon us.
Which unfortunately had promise, though, is the thing. Like it thematically felt a lot more like a Resident Evil movie than any of the other ones before it.
So when it comes
to had so much potential.
Oh god, yes. Like it nails the atmosphere of a Resident Evil movie. Like it feels like the games in that aspect.
Even from someone who hasn't played the games, I could feel the fucking game's atmospheres in even in the trailer. I was like, god damn.
Derek, do you remember the very first like screenshots that were released of the set of this movie?
Oh yeah.
Right after they announced it, they posted that picture of the RPD helicopter in the fucking Arklay Forest.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that picture and being like, holy fuck, they're finally getting it right. They're finally doing a movie based on the games, and just based on this one picture alone, they're getting the fine details right. Like, you can tell that this is being made by people that cared about the games. This film is in good hands.
Yeah, so Toby, do you remember that? Actually, either one of you may remember this, but once I found out that it was going to be the first two games, my excitement legitimately plummeted, because I was like, oh my god, it's hard enough to get one game right in a movie, let alone cramming two in. I even said, I was like, I'm kind of not excited for it now, because that just opened up the gate to just all kinds of negative, like this being left out, this being fucked up, which in my mind ultimately ended up being correct, because this movie, while it wasn't a complete train wreck, it also wasn't that good. Like, and it sucks to say that. It's like I liked Claire in this movie. I thought I can't remember the actress's name who played her. Robbie Amell played Chris, which I was like, okay, I can see him as a Resident Evil 1 Chris. Who else?
Tom and Wesker.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut to this. I did not like the castings of anybody else in the movie. Well, Donald Logue is the chief. Like I always loved Donald Logue. So
He is also
he's
in
awesome.
Vikings.
Well, he's also in Grounded for Life, and he's hilarious in that. But I hated the rest of the castings because, like,
Neil
yeah,
McDonough as William Birkin was really good casting.
I don't think it was. I just like I want. This sounds bad to say. I want like a skinny, geeky dude, not because Neil McDonough. He's a little bit built, dude, and I don't want to see that. Like I don't know. I that wasn't my biggest issue with it. I didn't think he didn't look like Birkin to me. And then yeah, Tom Holland as Wesker did not like that. I didn't like him as Wesker. He didn't have the signature Wesker look.
You
And
said Tom Holland.
what was his name? Isn't that what you said it was?
Tom Hopper.
No, it's Tom Hopper. Tom Holland is
Tom
Spider-Man, my guy.
Well, okay.
Not Peter
So-
Parker.
Well, other controversial. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, Tom Hopper. Sorry, I thought you said Holland, and I wasn't even thinking it. I was just rolling with it. So that's my bad. I misheard you.
No, Tom Hopper.
Um,
I like Tom
but
Hopper
yeah.
as an actor, but I even agree as someone that's not played the games that he was not good for Wesker.
yeah, was not good. Jill wasn't good. Leon, Jesus Christ, don't even get me started with Leon. They straight up shit on him in this fucking movie hard.
Yeah, they did him.
And
They did him dirty.
yeah, there was a lot of fan service and like Easter eggs and stuff, which was awesome. Like Itchy Tasty, loved it.
Yeah.
Moonlight Sonata on the piano before like the helicopter crashes into the mansion, loved that too. I don't know. It was too much, which was my biggest fear with this movie originally. Is it was too much to cram into in like an hour and 45 minutes. And
I wrote in my notes, the set design and creature design are absolutely top notch, and it looks like everything was pulled right out of the games, and that is where my praise ends.
Oof.
well, and here's my thought, Toby. If we're making everything look like the games, because I mean, like Lisa Trevor looked just like in the game. Why couldn't they do the same with Jill, Wesker, Leon?
Exactly.
Incorporate Barry and Brad. Well, Brad was in this one, wasn't he?
He stayed in the helicopter. His whole job was to fucking die.
Yeah, and that's another thing that pisses me off because, as we all know, Brad does not die there. Dies at the hands of Nemesis.
He dies playing Snake on his Nokia phone, and then as a zombie flies the fucking helicopter into the building.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Toby. You were 100% right. They got the set design perfect. Like it was awesome. But other than that, this movie was just a gigantic misfire and a disappointment. Because we, like you said, we just want a good Resident Evil movie that is based off of the game, like 100%. And they could have done that had they focused on one or the other, not both of them put together. Yeah.
And it really
That's
it really sucks when even one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie is also just like it ended up being dumb as fuck. As I watched it a second time. I literally watched all of them except for those two. But when I watched it the second time, the scene where I I don't remember who it is. I think it's Chris. I can't remember. He's in the dark, complete dark or whatever, and he's shooting, and the only time you see the zombies is when he fires a gun. Like that was a cool ass scene, right? And it was probably one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie. But I don't know if you realized or not, but all of the sound stopped when he wasn't shooting.
Yeah, and that
you could only hear things when there was light, and I'm like, hold up, wait a minute.
That was cool, but yeah, it does not make sense whatsoever.
I was like, dog, how are you gonna fuck that up? But what do you mean? You should still hear him groaning and like shambling towards you and your footsteps and shit. But no, apparently the light is also your source of hearing as well. You have to be able to see to hear all of it. So
yeah, that did not make any sense whatsoever.
And then of course the famous scene where Leon is like sleeping with his headphones or whatever, and the fucking semi explodes in front of him, and he's still sleeping.
Yeah, it's just
what
another crush. Like, no, you're not sleeping through that with your fucking 98 Walkman, dude.
Yeah,
noise canceling wasn't a thing back then, and I'm pretty sure it still doesn't even work to cancel out explosions.
No, not that close to you at the very least.
God.
The thing that baffles me about this movie, is the set design is so fucking hyper detailed. Like, you can tell that they did their research and they actually had some capacity of passion for the games when they were making this movie.
Yeah.
So how then, if you care that much about the games to make these sets look this good, how can you butcher these characters that fucking bad?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I'm not kidding. I watched all of these movies. Like, I was expecting to record this episode on Sunday, and I watched all of these movies back to back. Not like one a night, sometimes two a night.
Nice.
And I was watching this movie, Welcome to Raccoon City, on Sunday. I was watching it the day we were going to record this fucking episode. And I had to stop watching it because it was pissing me off. I made it all the way through the rest of the franchise, and this was the movie that made me stop, and I had to go back to it.
Yeah.
Big rip.
Well, Toby, do you also think that could be fatigue from the other bad movies in the franchise, and then this one just is?
No, the reason why is because I've been trying really hard to just find the positives in these movies. And with the previous franchise, I could do that because it's so mostly disconnected from the games that I can like watch them as their own thing, you know? Like I was watching them just as a movie franchise.
Yeah.
The trouble with this one is it's very clearly trying to be the games. So I can't not compare it to the games.
That's Jacob, you were my witness that I know I've said that to you as like, yeah, Toby can try to separate the first 6 from the games. He'll be okay. Raccoon City, you cannot do it because it's so intertwined with the game. It's not like taking elements out of it. No, it is the fucking game. Except just a fucking god-awful version of the game.
It's trying to be the game. Trying very hard. Actually, you know what? Not trying hard enough, I guess. It's trying very hard to look like the game. But in execution,
it succeeds in that aspect. Yeah. I mean, it looks great.
But the storytelling aspect of it, or maybe not even the storytelling so much as like the writing, and the casting also wasn't great. I love Tom Hopper as an actor, but dude, as Wesker didn't work. I mean, dude, I have no idea. As a matter of fact, speaking of Tom Hopper, he's also in Black Sails. Derek, we were just talking about this on the call beforehand, but and then what's his face, the police chief,
Donald Logue.
Yeah, he's in Vikings, dude. I love a lot of the cast, to be honest, just not where they put them.
That's another thing. Like, I mean, all of the characters were butchered, but Chief Irons is such an unlikable prick in this movie. and not for the reasons that he should be an unlikable prick.
Yeah.
Like, Chief Irons is a fucking monster. Like, he's a human being. He is one of the last survivors in this outbreak, but he himself is a fucking monster. He's a terrible human being. But in the movie, he's just portrayed as a loudmouth dick.
Yeah.
Like,
he's portrayed, like, the acting was great. Donald Logue is hilarious. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's nothing. Like, kind of like Leon being a bumbling fucking idiot of a rookie cop in Resident Evil 2. He's not. So why?
Yeah.
Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was made for $25 million and it grossed $42 million worldwide.
Oof. God
Yeah.
damn. That's rough, dude.
Oh, sorry. I was even overestimating. It was 41.8.
Oof. I mean, not that it's surprising, I guess, but Jesus. Honestly, it came out in 2021 as well, which
Yeah.
the pandemic probably has a little bit to do with that, but still, god damn, dude. I don't know. Yikes.
Yeah.
I
rough.
remember seeing, as I was watching this movie, I rented it on Amazon, and Amazon apparently has this little section for like trivia, like little fun facts, things that you can read about the movie that you're watching. And I thought it was interesting, so I made a note of it. This movie was originally supposed to be written and produced by fucking James Wan. In case you're not aware, James Wan is a fucking big name in horror.
Yeah.
You think I need to know that, Toby? I mean, come on.
That was more directed at Jacob because he looked a little confused.
No, I've heard of James Wan before.
Derek, can you throw out a handful of James Wan movies that he has under his belt?
Aquaman.
Oh, yuck.
Malignant. Conjuring. Conjuring 2. Just to name a few.
Shouldn't have said Aquaman.
He also directed like one or some of the Fast and the Furious movies too. I did not know James Wan was originally supposed to be attached to this, but my God, what could have fucking been? Because he could have knocked it out of the park.
Also, there was a writer that dropped off the project as well. I cannot remember what his name is. I have it written in my notes, but I don't have the note in front of me. But this writer, the original script for this movie was supposedly based on Resident Evil 7.
Oh, okay.
This movie was going to be based on Resident Evil 7 originally, which, I mean, I know I was shitting on Resident Evil 7 earlier, but it's more of a self-contained story.
Yeah.
Got kind of a Texas Chainsaw kind of vibe to it.
And with the game being as short as it is, you could add that into a movie. Easy.
I could have fucked with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
That would have been really cool.
Resident Evil 7 also introduces Ethan, doesn't it?
Yes.
And Ethan, it carries on to Village, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So basically perfect segue into a sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
And
No.
I've even, well, I didn't necessarily play it, but Toby and I played through Resident Evil Village on stream, and I thought it was fucking cool. I thought it was a really cool story. I thought it was a really cool design. I thought everything looked pretty cool and played, as far as I could tell, pretty good, you know? So
yeah.
And it was pretty well received from what I know. So if they would have done that instead, just, you know what? The old ones are beloved by the fans, and that's great and all, but look, we need to start from scratch here. Pick a different story to follow. Boom. Ethan. We have it right here.
It seriously could have been a good movie. It could have. It would have been better.
It could have been. It should have been.
Yeah. So, this whole time I've been throwing out the box office numbers and stuff. Now I'm going to throw out a collective number for all of them. So, Resident Evil, the franchise, costed $313 million to make. It made Basically 1.28 billion dollars worldwide. Think about that. It's $1 billion franchise, and how many like terrible movies are in it? Just sit and ponder that for a second.
Yeah, way more than half.
Yeah, it's just over half actually. So, Jacob, I know you said you didn't have a rating, but what would, out of your 5 movies, what would you say is your favorite of the movies?
My favorite totally would be Resident Evil 1.
Okay.
Then 2.
Okay.
And then probably Welcome to Raccoon City, just for the sole fact that I at least could appreciate it for the aesthetic of it. And
okay.
Resident Evil 3 and on, I lost so much track, dude. And then, of course, I didn't watch the other 2. So, but from what you guys have described, I don't think I would have changed my opinion.
No.
Those would have been my top 3 in order.
Okay. All right, Toby. What's your number 7?
Welcome to Raccoon City.
Okay.
God damn.
All right.
And it should have been my number 1, which really bummed me out.
Could have been your number 1. Had they not.
My number 7. My number 7 is Resident Evil Extinction. Hate it.
Damn.
Fair.
I hate that fucking movie. All right. What's your number 6?
Final Chapter.
Okay. My second number 7 is Resident Evil Final Chapter. All right. What's your number 5, Toby?
Both
Afterlife.
Jesus Christ. My third number 7 is Resident Evil Afterlife, too. What's your number 4?
Probably Extinction.
Man, we're flip-flopping. My fourth number 7 is Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh, man.
Okay, what's your number 3?
Retribution.
My number 3 is Retribution as well.
Nice. 4 number 7
okay.
And number 3.
Number 2. I know what your number 2 is. But go.
My number 2 is Resident Evil.
Okay. We're flip-flopped on 1 and 2 because, yeah, my number 2 is Apocalypse, which is your number 1.
Yes.
But, yeah, collectively, like we said at the beginning, 1 and 2, like, I didn't have that appreciation for 1 until the rewatch, but I was like, God damn, this really is, unfortunately, head and shoulders above the rest of the films in this franchise.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, the 4 movies in this, like I like something about all 4 of the movies, but just collectively as a whole, they are awful. They're terrible.
Yeah.
And I just can't. So that's why I have 4 number 7s and then a 3, 2, 1, because I did not feel comfortable saying number 4, Welcome to Raccoon City, considering I love the aesthetic and the atmosphere and the score. It's great. Everything else is terrible, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of these movies, as a fan of this franchise, all of these movies had something that I liked. And it's weird that my number 7 is Welcome to Raccoon City, because Welcome to Raccoon City actually had a lot that I liked.
Yeah.
I really, really liked seeing the mansion. I liked seeing the RPD and all these characters and shit. But, like, fuck, dude. The bad in that movie is so fucking bad.
Yeah. No,
Agreed.
That's why I got a whole bunch of 7s and then regular stuff, because like when it's good, it's pretty good, but when it's bad, Jesus Christ, it is god awful. Stay away from
Burn
it.
it all.
Yeah, kill it with fire as quickly as you can.
I think we need to just turn the fucking film rights for Resident Evil over to the fans. Because, I mean, obviously it hasn't come out yet, but that movie that I mentioned earlier, the short film about the Keeper's Diary,
yeah,
looks incredible. I'll have to send you a trailer. They put out like a minute-long teaser trailer for it, and it looks really good. I'm pretty pumped about it. But like, dude, Resident Evil is not a hard story to adapt, and it's a fucking travesty that it's taken this long.
Just an actual legit series. That's what we need. That'll fix it.
Or at the very least, if they are going to go the movie route, like we were talking about, do 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And if they continue on with that formula or whatever, then whatever 9 ends up being or whatever, like if they continue to go that way, then why not
the
make
problem,
those into movies?
The only problem with 7 being adapted into a movie, by now, Resident Evil and zombies, it's synonymous. Like you don't think of one without the other. So the fact that there's like not zombies in Resident Evil 7 would throw people off and be like, that's not Resident Evil. It's like, you don't pay attention to the games because we know what it is. It's Resident Evil. You're just an asshole.
But I think if they were to do it right, though, they could do it right. I mean, same with if they were to do something with Resident Evil 4, which doesn't have zombies in it. Like, I mean, Resident Evil 4 alone probably would be a really cool movie to see, but...
Jesus Christ, it would be an even better series. That's like, I know I keep coming back to that, but that's, in my mind, even if we've got the best movie that we possibly could in a 2-hour runtime, it would still be a drop in the bucket compared to a whole entire series. Like, we're talking 10-hour-long episodes to cover all the backstory. I mean, it would just be more fulfilling and just better all around.
Yeah, no, I feel
you. I wanted to do a segment at the end of this discussing how we would make a good Resident Evil movie. And I started creating a fan cast, but I didn't finish it. I got 3 characters in.
Okay.
Wesker, played by the guy that plays Homelander in The Boys.
Anthony Starr, and I 1000% agree.
Chris Redfield, played by Jack Reacher.
Alan Richson from Blue Mountain State. Bad Castle. Yeah.
Leon S. Kennedy. This might be the most controversial one, but...
Zac Efron. What?
No. Leon S. Kennedy, played by Robert Pattinson.
Ooh.
Really?
That is controversial, but I like it.
Interesting. I like Robert Pattinson quite a bit, so...
Yeah.
I fuck with it.
Man, that is an interesting premise.
Wesker, played by Tom Holland.
Fuck all of you.
I mean, it worked. It worked for Uncharted.
Fuck. Did it?
I don't know.
No, I was going to say, I'm legitimately asking. I didn't watch it either because I figured it was just going to be another shitty video game adaptation. It turned into like a movie.
I have no idea. I never watched it.
Yeah, that's about it. But no, that would be fun. One thing I would do if I was making it, because it wouldn't be a movie, it would be a series. I would incorporate Zero into I would tie it in with 1. So that way when, like for instance, Chris finds Rebecca, we spend a whole episode with her just talking about Billy, the incident on the train, and everything else that happened. So there would be more than enough content. And then, for season 2, you just do what's logical. You lump Resident Evil 2 and 3 together, and you kind of tell it, what would it be? Like half of the season would be like Resident Evil 2, or maybe like six episodes would be all Resident Evil 2. And then the last 4 would be Resident Evil Nemesis, except showing events going on at the exact same time as a kind of oh, hey, 2 days earlier kind of thing. Yeah. That, in my mind, would be the only way to make those work. And I could be wrong, but...
No, parallel storytelling has been done in shows a lot. That could definitely work.
But I feel like that's the only way you're going to get a good adaptation of it. It's got to be...
Or even if they did a show and like what they did with The Walking Dead a few times, where they'd have an episode just kind of like peppered throughout the season, or an episode or two, you know, not a whole lot, but just they follow the main story through the whole series, but then they have like an episode where they talk about what happened with Morgan or something, you know, in The Walking Dead. And they kind of explain what the fuck's going on, or what was going on with him when we didn't see him from, what was it, like episode 2 he vanished or something, or episode 3, I can't remember what episode was his last episode before he finally came back into the show. But
oh god, I'm not even gonna lie, I forgot who you were talking about at first, but then when you're like, yeah, you know, you didn't see him, and I was like, oh, okay, I remember that. Yeah,
that guy. But yeah, like they throw in an episode where they talk about what he was doing and how he got to where he was, and then they don't talk about it for a while. But then there's still some loose ends there. So like a couple, like next season or whatever, they bring it back to another point where he was like training with what's his face in that other episode and so forth. But they could do shit like that too, where they are focusing on the main story the whole time, but they have plot points here and there be brought up in separate standalone episodes as like filler episodes, you know.
You know how fun it would be, and this could just be me as a viewer, watching them like solve the puzzles from the first mansion. Like, and I just literally just thought of the knights, like where you got to push the 4 knights into their stuff because they'll move out. Like you push this one in, these 2 will go in, but this one's out. You push it out, then like 1 pops out. That would be just funny, and I would enjoy that. Just be like, ha 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 ha, ha, fuck you. But I swear to God, one thing they would need is the dogs breaking through the window in the, I believe it was L hallway in the mansion. Because the first time I played the game, I damn near shit my pants when that happened. Because I'm just trotting down the hallway like, man, I'm looking for stuff. Glass breaks, music changes. Almost had to change my undies.
So,
it'd be fun.
The less that is said about the Netflix Resident Evil series, the better.
Facts.
So don't say it.
There is one redeeming. I watched the whole series, by the way. I suffered through that whole fucking series. Oof. And the only good part of that whole series happened in episode 5. There is a scene where Wesker's 2 daughters are in the house and they're trying to, they get there and they're like, hey, where'd Dad go? What the fuck? And there's a note that's left for them, and they read the note and they're like, huh, that's weird. And it leads them over to a different part of the house, and it starts this like montage scene essentially of them literally exploring their house and opening shit and doing puzzles and like finding secret compartments and keys and shit.
Okay.
It seems like something that wouldn't adapt well to a movie. Like the gameplay aspect of like doing the puzzles to unlock doors and shit. But that was genuinely the best part of that entire series. Yeah. So I would love to see the puzzles be incorporated into an adaptation. They kind of did it with Welcome to Raccoon City when he plays Moonlight Sonata on the piano.
Yeah. So I mean, it would work. And just imagine how terrifying the Shark Tank sequence could be. Like, I know that was, man, I've just determined that like water levels in video games give me fucking hella anxiety, like bad. Thanks Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But I remember playing that and I was scared fucking shitless. Waist high fucking water, sharks swimming at you. They could adapt it. It just needs to be a series. And it will be fucking amazing when they finally pull their heads out of their asses and make it happen. If
they ever make it happen after the not so success of Welcome to Raccoon City, I don't know if they're gonna try to open that can of worms again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Welcome to Raccoon City. It's didn't the series come out in 2022? So like right after that.
Yeah.
So that was like 2 knockout punches that they're receiving. They're not dishing them out by any means. 2 in a row. Like, you whiffed it big fucking time. Yeah. Both times. So, yeah. But
one day they'll get it right. But until then, at least we have the games.
Facts.
100%.
Honestly, this whole episode has just made me really want to go play the games. Specifically 5. I don't know why, but I really want to play Resident Evil 5.
God
It's probably
damn,
because I watched Afterlife.
I wish you guys had Xbox so we could play on there, because that's where all my fucking decked out shit is.
I got a PC.
I've got it on Steam too.
I don't have any of them, but I have a PC. I don't have an Xbox though, so
Just buy a cheap one.
The Resident Evil games tend to go on sale on Steam quite a lot. So.
Oh yeah, and it's generally dirt cheap too.
I don't know if
I know they were.
If I'm feeling itchy, I still got to get Pal World.
Yes, you do. God damn.
You guys both need to get Hell Let Loose and just play PTSD Simulator with me.
I need to play that. I need to play Power World, and I've been telling myself since I seen the teaser trailer for it that I need to play Baldur's Gate 3 because I'm a big D&D nerd, and Baldur's Gate is just iconic as fuck, and I want to play it so bad, but I just have not found the drive to play it. But dude, once the trailer came out, I seen it like years before it came out, and I seen the Mind Flayer transformation. I was like, dude, this is something that I want to get sucked into like really bad, and I just have not picked it up yet. And now it's like fucking game of the year and shit, and I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time doing anything other than playing this game? But you
need to also play Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah, I keep getting told that too, but I've been being told that by Toby since he's lived with me.
It's so fucking
not a remake,
stupid.
But Resident Evil 4 anyway.
I was on my break at work the other day, and I noticed I was scrolling on Facebook, and I saw that Miles is streaming the original Resident Evil 4, and I hopped in there, and I was like talking to him a little bit, and I explained how a couple things worked, and then I dipped out because I only have a 10-minute break. But it was an interesting experience getting to watch somebody that's never played Resident Evil 4 play Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but then I remember that we're still recording, and I probably shouldn't say that on recording. So
keep it to yourself.
Anyway, we are pushing past the 3-hour mark, though. So
yeah, that's a long one. I think next time, I guess let's just break it up into smaller chunks so it's not 3 hours.
I mean, no, it's good. I mean, the banter's been fun. I just was throwing that out there as a timestamp in case there was anything else important we needed to talk about.
No, actually, I was getting ready to say, what is our topic for next week, Jacob?
What is our topic for next week, Derek?
I have no idea. I was legit asking you.
I know it's a music episode, so
yeah.
You guys should do movie soundtracks in the spirit of Resident Evil and its sick ass movie soundtracks.
So honestly, yeah, I could fuck with that. Did you want to do a movie soundtrack episode?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
What are we doing, like top 10 or top 5 or of all time or specific genre?
Let's do 10, and it can be anything.
Top 10
because I've got
movie genres.
I've got one fucking left field pick that's gonna blow your fucking mind.
Yeah. All right. I'll have to think on that one really hard, especially if we're gonna record it on Sunday.
Oh shit! Yeah, it is Wednesday, isn't it? Well, it's gonna be a busy couple days for this guy.
I mean, I got the time.
There we go.
But
me too. I mean, come on, son.
Oh yeah.
So...
yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Let's do it. Top 10 movie soundtracks of all time. Or are we picking
of all time?
Of all time. Okay. God damn. This is gonna be
of all time. It's gonna be tough.
Crazy tough. But anyway. If neither one of you fine gentlemen have anything else to say about the Resident Evil movie franchises, I think that'll about do it.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Yeah.
Hanging in there with us.
Yeah, it's been a long episode.
Yeah, it's been a very long episode. I know I've got to piss.
Officially the longest episode,
though.
Yeah.
What, Toby?
It's been a fun episode, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. It's always a good time talking to you gents about movies and music and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Even if I'm so lost half the time, but still fun hearing you guys banter about it and kind of getting to know the perspective of people that are familiar with the games and the franchise itself. So
yeah,
good stuff. But yeah, if you like this video or liked to listen to it, if you're listening to it, make sure you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you want to see or hear anything else like this. That'd be great.
and let us know your thoughts about the Resident Evil film franchise. What did you like? What did you hate? Did you have 4 number 7s in your top 7 ranking like I did? I'm curious. I want to know.
Also, do you think that they should make a Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8 movie, or do you think they should make a TV series on something entirely different within the franchise? Let us know in the comments.
Series. Yes.
Anyway, that'll about do it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.